Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL expert and analyst, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you doing this fine Wednesday evening?
Fine.
Man, that's good. That's good. I don't know. Maybe I got to adjust my volume. You're coming through blaringly loud on my side. But welcome everyone to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. You may see what's going on. I don't see your and Grumpy's beautiful faces. I know we were running across some technical difficulties earlier on. We're running a little late here. It wasn't our fault. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen. This was not my fault. The reason we were late today. I am still going full on that New Year's resolution.
Why are you lying to the people? Just say we're going to do a goof on Phil.
Stop. No, Grumpy. You don't have to stop. We were just having technical difficulties is the only reason why we're running late. But yes, PhilzFacts will be joining us here today, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. This is a twice a week All Islanders podcast that takes place every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, so we invite you to stick around a while if you're new to the show. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. Also, if you like this content, the best way to let us know that you enjoy the content and what Grumpy and I do is by leaving a thumbs up. Apparently, it helps the algorithm get mine and the grumpy old man's word out to the masses. That's what we've been told, at least, Grumpy.
So you continue to say.
Looky there. There it is. You love the TJ and the grumpy old man, how my name is so much bigger than yours, Grumpy, don't you?
No one likes it.
You seem
Grumpy,
you seem a little extra grumpy today. What the heck?
Everyone will find out in a second why.
Oh, good gracious.
This canard that you're trying to perpetrate on the masses here.
Oh, man. Oh, good gracious. But today we're going to have a lot to talk about, right? We're going to have to talk about our most recent game. For those of you who are listening in post, we are going live during the New York Islanders against the Boston Bruins game. So right now, the Islanders, after one period, have played really good hockey, I'd say, and they're up 1-0, Grump.
And deservedly so.
I think you're taking a swig off of that. I don't even have to see you, Grumpy, to know you're taking a swig off of that grape drink.
I think the Islanders have a well-deserved 1-0 lead. I thought Olmark really pooped the bed on that when he had to make that save. But the Islanders, I thought they outplayed Boston in the first period and have a well-earned 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Absolutely, Grumpy, I would. And
this is how they came out against Washington, though. And they weren't able to close the deal. I thought the game against Washington was a bad loss for us.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that before Phil jumps on with us too. But yeah, I'll tell you, that Washington game, we had a 3-0 lead over the Washington Capitals, a team to where, right, we're going to be competing with them possibly over one of those most coveted last playoff spots. And after a 3-0 lead at home, we find a way to squander things and lose in overtime 4-3.
That's a tough loss. For me, I think that's a tough loss for the team. You're up 3-0 against a team that's ahead of you in the standings, 4-point game in essence, and you manage to somehow snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. That's a tough loss. That's a tough loss.
Yeah.
It all started, honestly, you listen to the Washington players. It was all after that hit that Ovechkin threw on J.G. Pageau.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a clean hit, to be honest with you. You heard our announce team thinking it was the worst hit ever, but it was just a clean hit. Big man on little man. Little man goes down. I mean, nothing dirty about it. Pageau wasn't even injured. He played 60 minutes ice time. He started the third period. So, but Washington to a man admitted that physical play when they saw Ovechkin, with that big body check on Pageau. The whole rest of the team says, yeah, okay, we got to play more physically. And they did from there on out, and that's what spurred them on to victory.
And I thought it was a clean hit too. But it's funny, right? We've always talked about how things differ based off of who you're listening to. Now, again, I've made it known on this show, I do not listen and watch the Islanders broadcast. I just can't put myself through that anymore. because I feel like on a consistent basis, we keep running in these situations to where Butch is trying to find anything to justify why, oh no, the Islanders should be on the power play. You see this hit right here? Well, technically, Ovechkin left his skates there by a centimeter. That should be a penalty. That's against the rule. That's against the rule of the law. And it's just kind of like it's a hard time listening to it. But I listened to both. I made sure to flip on the Islanders channel as well when I was listening to Washington describing it as it's a tough hit, but it's a clean hit, right? It's not boarding. It's not this. And I flip on the Islanders channel, and they're singing a completely different tune. And I can only imagine for those listening at home. But I think that was, you're right, that was the impetus that started the change, really, of a momentum in that Capitals and Islander game.
And, our arch nemesis, Tom Wilson, scores his first goal of the year on a pass from Nick Backstrom. They're getting healthy. John Carlson's still out for Washington. So we're going to be expecting him to come back fairly soon. Just going to make Washington stronger. I thought Darcy Kemper looked shaky as anything in goal, though, to be honest with you. So maybe going forward, that's an advantage. Well, certainly any goaltender is at a disadvantage if he plays for another team as opposed to Sorokin. Varlamov today, it's done okay so far. A little bit sloppy with a couple of rebounds. He's not Sorokin. Let's just put it to you that way.
I tell you, he's definitely not Sorokin, is right. But, hey, you can't complain what we see on Varlamov so far. I wouldn't complain. Here's the thing. I'm not complaining what I've seen on him so far today. Got the shutout going. It's early yet, knock on wood. But it's funny, right? We talk about, the changes that we've seen here to the team. We've seen some changes today for the game. William DeFore gets the call up also, Grumpy, and so does Dennis Shulowski. And here's Phil's facts. Hold on a second, Grumpy. We've got Phil's facts with us here, Grumpy. Is your camera up and running? Can you go ahead and try to get that camera working there? We've got Phil's facts with us on the show.
There he is,
all dressed in proper attire with our collar, with our button. Let me take the tie off here so I can be part of the no tie gang.
Here's the thing. We said, what do you think Phil's going to wear today? Dress up as your favorite Phil character for Halloween. So this is what I did. This is how Phil goes to sleep as well.
This is how I go to sleep. 100%.
Now, let me tell you something, Phil. I don't know why.
By the way, hold on, Grumpy. Is that a new couch, or are you just sitting in a different room?
New couch.
I love it. You look more confident in that couch. It's like,
thank you.
He looks much bigger. He looks taller now too.
He looks taller. He looks wiser also.
Thanks,
he's trying to buddy you up. He's running late, Grumpy. Look at this. He's starting to.
I'm running late, so I need exactly.
Okay.
You know what?
So why is
how it goes.
Why is there a glaze over your camera?
You know what? Let me check that.
Jesus, what the heck's going on over there?
That's better, right?
It is. I don't know what the heck you were doing before.
You know what? I wasn't using my laptop before. My wife was. She must have.
Oh yeah, that's her. Let's get Mrs. Phil on here and throw her under the bus.
I'm going to blame her. I'm blaming the wife.
That's cool. Phil, Phil, I'm wondering what you're gonna try to flummox the people with your fantastic flip-floppery as you fastidiously foist upon us in today's podcast. Oh, Pharaoh of fiction.
I guess we'll have to see.
Prepared at all, Grumpy, right?
I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, we got a long night ahead of us here, right?
Exciting. Man, Phil just exciting. That delivery, he is exciting as always. People, stay awake. Get the toothpicks. Put them in your eyes. Phil is here.
People find me exciting. Come on. Exciting, interesting, insightful, analytical, smart, handsome, charming.
Okay. I'll say they find you. What were the things you said?
Smart, handsome.
None of those.
Charming.
None of those. Nope, not that one.
Philosophical.
Analytical.
Yeah.
I think they find you analytical, insightful. Sometimes. Everything else, no. They do not find you anything.
Sometimes correct. Sometimes, not always.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Phil. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on any of these things. But since TJ has what's our page, TJ, on Twitter?
TJ and the Grumpy. You're on the TJ and the Grumpy man. I signed you in so you could join one of those ad hoc little talks on Twitter, those spaces. Grumpy.
Every once in a while, Phil, one of your things comes up, and I'm worried about you. I mean, I'm like, man, what the hell's wrong with Phil? Is he like this always? Because I'm like, one day he's blow the team up. The next one, let's reinvest. Then back to blow it up. What's going on with you, Phil?
I like to hold up the mirror sometimes. You have to understand my Twitter persona in order to understand which tweets to take very seriously and which tweets I'm just kind of like spitballing. I'm a lot more reactionary on Twitter than I am when I'm with you guys. So you're gonna get the real takes here. You're gonna get some real opinions, and we're gonna, over the next little while, we're gonna figure out the course for this team for the next 5 years.
I could already have told. I can tell you it already. Phil, let me ask you, Phil,
has your opinion changed at all from what it was 2-3 years?
Have you come around to my way of thinking? Have you yet?
I mean, well, your way of thinking is like very. There's like contradictions in your way of thinking. Like you're always very blow the team up, but I think I don't think you understand the implications of what that is and what needs to be involved in order to do that, and what pieces need to go out and what you need to be getting in return. And I think when you analyze it as is this a group that can be nuked? And can we just like put some C4 and explode this whole thing and keep a couple core pieces? I don't think it's possible. There is nothing to strip down to the bolts here or to the studs.
Okay. I'll disagree with. Here's the thing. Obviously, you've not. Do you listen to our podcast, Bill?
I do. TJ knows I listen.
Okay,
I don't listen to
I've been telling you what we should be doing.
Tell me.
And we've been moving in that direction, right? What's the first thing we should do at this trade deadline?
Varlamov, Mayfield, Parise. By the way, do you guys remember how many goals I said Parise would have on the season this year?
No.
Hold on. You see how he's trying to flip?
No.
He's trying to change.
How many?
No, hold on.
He said 20.
No, I didn't. I said 13. I said 13 when I was on with you guys. 20 was last year.
Okay.
I'm going to get it wrong. He's going to get 22 this year or something like that because he's shooting more than he has in the past like 6 years.
You know what he thinks? I'm back at Minnesota. I'm back with the Devils. They let me do whatever the hell I want here. This team sucks. I'm going to do whatever I want.
He's got free reign. Is that what you think, Grumpy?
I mean, listen, I think he's the only guy who like consistently looks like he knows what he's doing on both ends of the ice. You know, so you at least have to give him that.
Netters. But he does have 3 empty net goals this year, Phil. So yeah, he knows what he's doing then.
Well, he's got 3 empty netters. He's got 10 with the goalie in the way.
And even when Olmark determines, hey, I'm just going to let that one go right.
I'm going to let that one go. I'm going to let that one right through the wickets.
Zach Parise.
That's the product you get though when you put a lot of shots on net. Like
he does. He's generating shots at a greater rate than. I mean, listen, you look at the first shot he had on goal. That one should have been a goal. The second one should not have been. So, kind of all evens out when you're taking that many shots.
Oh God.
Okay, so Varlamov, Mayfield, Parise.
Mm-hmm.
At least. Yep.
At least.
Moving at the deadline.
No,
okay.
At the deadline, I'm fine with that at the deadline.
Okay.
I'm fine with that at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
I think we go in, and when I say blow it up, I don't think you understand. When I'm not saying we keep 4 players and get rid of everybody else.
Right.
I consider if you change up a team, six guys from one year to the next, that's pretty much blowing it up.
I mean, it really depends on which 6. Like, if the 6 include like Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck, then no, it really doesn't.
I'm talking about, okay, so here, my second thing is this offseason, Brock Nelson, bye-bye.
Okay. What are you trading him for? What are you trading him? By the way, if you're going to trade Brock Nelson this offseason, you're doing it wrong because you should be trading him to a team like Colorado at the deadline then. Because then a team like Colorado gets him for 3 runs instead of 2. That is what you should be doing. So if you are determined, okay, I'm trading Brock Nelson this summer, that is a foregone conclusion. It's happening. Not doing it at the deadline is not optimizing his value.
Do you think Lou Lamoriello would do? First of all,
No, I don't think he's going to trade him at the deadline, and I don't think he's going to trade him this summer either. We're just talking about what Grumpy and Phil in terms of like rebuilding the nucleus of the team, what that would entail. And if you are inclined on moving Nelson, then you have to move him at the deadline.
That's what they should have done with Mayfield last year, and they didn't.
Okay, although I don't think you're going to get a very diminished return if you trade him now versus last year. Slightly.
I think last year you're looking at 2 firsts or a first.
I don't know about 2 firsts. It's hard to get 2 firsts for anyone.
A guy like that. What do you think a guy top 4 defenseman who earns $1.4 million or whatever on the books? So
1.45, yeah. No, it's good. It's not 2 firsts though. It's not 2 firsts.
If you had him for 2 years, you had him for a full another year, which would have been this year. Absolutely could have been worth 2 firsts or a first and a second bare minimum. Now you're probably looking at first, maybe in some change pittance on the side.
I think first and change, yeah.
But it's just here's the issue that we've run across. Now you want to go ahead and in this hypothetical, right? You want to go ahead and move a guy like Brock Nelson. And we're playing our portion here of the Real Housewives show, as Andy would call it.
And the only reason I say Brock, I think he's movable.
Okay, but of course he's movable. The question is, what are you moving him for? Like, if you're going to go on a journey of, okay, I want to move Brock Nelson because I want to improve the team, long term, I think the move would be kind of looking at and it's impossible to pull it off exactly like this, but looking at it from the Brassard for Zibanejad lens, right? Looking at a team that's in a window of contention that has a young centerman, right? I threw out the idea of, okay, if you want to trade Brock, then you call up Colorado and you ask them about Alex Newhook, a first and a second or something like that, right? You look for a contending team that has a 21, 22-year-old centerman who could play in the NHL, because that is, to me, is infinitely more interesting than taking 2 30 overall picks from Colorado.
I agree. I hate to say it, Phil, but I agree. That's what I'm saying. I don't mind moving guys, but if I'm bringing players back, I don't want somebody who's 30 years old. I'm petrified of what's going to happen this trade deadline. Petrified.
But you're not excited for Adam Henrique? Get excited for Adam Henrique, Grumpy. Get excited for Adam Henrique.
His family's not even excited.
We've heard from very reliable sources again that anything can change. I'll preface that, but like from about 5 or 6 different people that we know and trust from one source there, it's Lou Lamoriello is looking to add at this year's deadline.
Yeah, I mean,
that's scary.
Things could change from between now and then. I don't think Lou knows 100% what he's doing.
Unless the team goes ahead and bombs out and says we pull away 4 points in the next 7 games, they're going to be adding. I firmly believe that. Right now we're sitting on the outside looking in. I still think we're going to be either right in the last spot or right on the outside looking in, and that's going to give him enough reason to justify we need to add in order to make one last push in hoorah. I was going to pull it up beforehand, but I didn't have enough time to do the research. I wonder how many trade deadlines Lou Lamoriello has been a seller in his, 2 or 3 decades as an NHL general manager. I wonder how many times he's been a seller. I can't imagine more than about a handful.
Ooh, that was a close one right there. Toronto in 2016. He sold off everyone, right? In preparation for the Austin Matthews draft.
How bad was that Toronto team, though?
Awful. Whew. I mean, it was intentional.
It was almost like there was no choice. It wasn't even like he had an option.
Yeah, he traded Phaneuf. He traded everyone. But that was the whole point. He was brought in as part of the whole Tank for Matthews campaign, and they executed it perfectly. And they got rid of really bad the Phaneuf contract. I mean, that was wizardry, getting rid of that thing on Ottawa. So
now you said you don't think that Lou knows what he's going to do. Do you think that's because you feel he's senile at his advanced age?
No, I just don't think this team has given him like a good enough feel. Like, put it this way, if they were within like 6 points last year, I think he would have bought, which would have been a mistake. I don't think he went into the season with the intention of like, oh yeah, when I reach the trade deadline this year, I'm going to stand pat. That's just what ended up happening because those were the cards he was dealt. Like TJ said, if they just bottom out over the next 6 weeks and they're 12 points out, there's no way he's adding.
I was about to say that obviously there's a room there for a different result at the deadline than what we've been told. But in all likelihood, right, we're not going to bottom out. We're not going to come away with 4 points in the next 7 games. You're never as bad as you think. You're never as good as you think. If things continue on the current wavelength, if we're on a team on the outside sitting 9th or 10th in the conference, we are adding. Do not confuse it. We are adding at the deadline. That is the worst case scenario too. Continuing to throw good money after bad, because it's not. Can this team make the postseason? Is this team going to win a Stanley Cup? That's the issue. And we looked good first period against Boston, and we played them well when we were playing at Boston earlier on this year.
I think that was one of the top 10 games they played this year. The game in Boston.
But when you look at it, you say in a best of 7, we come away when we beat Boston.
I mean, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I said going into that series, we didn't belong on the ice with them. So do I think we beat them? Again, like Sorokin could be the great equalizer in any series, and it really depends on which piece you added. But I'll put it this way. We match up much better with Boston than we do with Carolina.
That's true.
We do. I think stylistically speaking, they're both heavy teams, both good forechecking teams. I mean, Boston's a better defensive team and a better offensive team. But I think that we've seen enough of them over the past 3 years where we know who their key guys are. And at least when we had Barry in that playoff series, he knew how to make the in-game adjustments in order so that we could ultimately beat them. And, you know, if you went out and got Timo Meier, could you beat them? Yeah, you could. You wouldn't be the favorite, but you could.
What do you think it would cost to get? This is my point.
Insane. No, I'm not saying you're getting Timo Meier. Like,
God, he says these things.
Timo Meier would be the only player that I would say, like, okay, I would add him regardless of what the results are going to be during the season, playoffs, whatever. It's impossibly prohibitive to add him, though. I mean, you have to look at the DeBrincat trade, and then it's more than the DeBrincat trade. He's a better player than him. So,
but this is what I mean by, like, you consider nuking it. Like I've talked about it before. I know in the DMs there with Phil. I think, right, if you're looking, it doesn't happen overnight where you go ahead and completely revamp and change the current forward group. But I think defensively, I think we have the right player personnel. I think in net we have the right player personnel. I think it really comes down to the forward group. I don't think that Lane Lambert would have to incorporate such a heavy forechecking, such a full force there from our defensemen, and where they're trying to create opportunities and joining these four-man forwards on these forechecks. We wouldn't be asking them to do that much if our forward group is more talented and more skilled.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's part of the style he wants to play. He wants the D up in the rush. Even teams that have good forward groups, like you watch the Avalanche and the Maple Leafs, like they deploy their offensive defensemen where they're always jumping up on the rush. That's part of how they play. So
yeah, but they're really good offensive. Their forward group is really good as well.
They're not asking guys like Ryan Pulak and guys like Scott Mayfield to join the rush. They're having guys like
I want to play a game with Phil.
And by the way, it's a 1-1 tie.
It's a 1-1 game. Yeah,
Islanders in Boston.
Yeah, Charlie McAvoy.
That was a bullet.
And maybe this is more of an off-season game, but what the heck? We don't talk to Phil a lot. I don't get to wear my white shirt very often anymore. So I'm like, let's ask a question. I'm just going to throw players' names and keep or get rid of.
Ooh, Dufour gave him a little too much space there.
Well,
Dufour was not with him.
I mean, that's a straight on shot. I don't think there was even a screen on that. Varley probably wants to do a little bit better on that. Let's start with the goalies. Sorokin, I'm assuming you want to keep him, right, Phil?
Depends on how extensively you want to deconstruct the roster.
Okay.
If you're going to deconstruct the roster in a way where you're just selling off players for draft picks and you don't plan on being competitive for like 4 or 5 years, you have to sell him.
I think you could do this rebuild in 2 or 3 years and be a team that competes for the postseason.
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, look at Detroit. Look at Ottawa.
Hold on. When Detroit did it, Detroit went straight down to you said.
Put on your quiet cap, Phil. Put on your quiet cap, Phil.
Go ahead.
When you look at Detroit, completely different situation than us. Detroit still doesn't have the goalie. Nedeljkovic never worked out for him. Sorokin is a goalie. If you can get him signed long-term, bought in long-term, that solves the issue. Defensively, we've got our defensive core built in. They're contractually obligated. We're good there. What is the biggest need? I think the only thing we really need is to revamp the forward group. And again, it's a big overhaul, but it's just a forward group. I don't think it's like, hey, not only do we have an old forward group, but our defensemen are old on expiring contracts, and we've got a goalie who's 36 years old and Jimmy Howard. It's not like that for us. We're in a situation where you have a goalie who's in the prime of his career. You've got Noah Dobson, who's getting more acclimated to the NHL. You got Romanov, who maybe will find out and figure out how to be positionally aware. You've got guys like Pulak and Pelech in the primes of their career. You have pieces. It's really just a forward group.
Do you think signing a 29-year-old goalie for 8 years at $9 million on a team that you're hoping will be competitive in 3 years, so at age 32, is a smart idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
I think it's very debatable. I mean, you went to, you've gone deep in the playoffs without Sorokin. I think the more, goaltending is important, but it's not the most important thing. It could be a great equalizer. Look at Shesterkin last year. Shesterkin was phenomenal for the Rangers. He carried them really far. Although, he never gets them by Pittsburgh if Pittsburgh doesn't have the Muffin Man in net, right?
True.
So it's to me, it just depends how extensively do you want to tear this thing down, and that will inform the answer as to what you end up doing with Sorokin. Because if you're doing, all right, we're going to get rid of Pajot, Nelson, we're going to buy out Lee, and we're going to do all this, fun surgery, and leaving us with a bunch of AHL players because we wouldn't want to sign UFAs at that point. That would make no sense. That's counterintuitive to a rebuild. All of a sudden you're looking at a team that's not going to be competitive for 4 or 5 years. There's no point in doing that.
When you're doing this, you don't have to get rid of anybody in the defense or goaltending group. All that needs to be done is just a forward group. And we're talking about that. Your bottom 6 is replaceable. Your bottom 6, you can plug and play anybody you want. Hudson,
next year, your bottom 6 could be, your fourth line could be Cizikas, Holmstrom, and Fashing.
So in reality, we're just talking about the top 6. Here's the thing. If you want to play
blows, Phil.
Yeah, you'll put Holmstrom on, he's your Matt Martin replacement.
What does this rebuild look like?
Yeah, Matt Martin doesn't do anything either.
You get either rid of
Brock
Nelson or Jean-Gabriel Pajot. You don't need to get rid of Oliver Wahlstrom. I'm not giving up on him yet. And you've got Matt Barzal. You're not going to be able to buy. It financially doesn't make sense to buy out Anders Lee's contract. Reality, we're saying, gotcha. Yeah. We're freeing up 2 of the top 6 wing spots, and we're getting rid of maybe some third liners and fourth line guys to go ahead and replace for what we already have. In reality, right, the positions of real consequence, you're looking at 2 or 3 forwards that need to be replaced in the top 6, and your bottom 6, again, you can plug and play anybody you want. Reality-wise, we're looking 2 to 3 guys that need to be replaced.
I just think with the way that the contract situation is on the team, within 2 years, most of those guys are going to be gone anyway.
Yeah.
With the exception of Lee. He's still going to be here. But
right, Bailey's gone. Palmieri's gone.
Parise.
Yeah. Parise's going to be either retired or whatever. Yeah.
Nelson's got 3 years left, but he's a guy.
2 years left.
Okay. And
this plus 2. Yeah.
So theoretically, he's gone. That's what I'm saying. It's not like we're really that far from that anyway. And that's why I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say, you know what? I know you don't like Bo Horvat, but if
I like Bo Horvat.
Oh,
TJ
you do?
Doesn't. Oh, I love Bo Horvat.
Okay. That's a guy I go after in free agency. The reason why he's still young enough, and if you're transitioning this thing, I don't want to go totally in the dumpster. I think if we're smart, big if we're smart, we can move some of the pieces out. Nelson, I think, and I didn't want to move him because I didn't want to go in too much culture shock for you by moving him at the deadline too. But if I could move Brock Nelson, like I said, for a new hook and a first and a second, I'd do that yesterday.
It's intriguing. It's intriguing for sure, especially if you can. I mean, listen, if you then turn around and sign Horvat for, 7 years, $8 million, then all of a sudden you're already cooking.
That's what I want to do. That's my thought process. And I feel you have to be in on free agents. I don't want to hear any line of crap like I'm bidding people up so that they take $2.5 million less than they were offered in Calgary. No, I don't want to hear that, Lou Lamoriello.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm all for that. I am not as sold on the defense as TJ is right now.
What do you think the issue is with the defense?
I've told TJ off air that I'm giving Romanov 1 more year.
He sucks.
I'm going to give him another year, but after that, no. I think he's maybe the worst positional defenseman I've seen in quite a while. Say what you want about Sebastian Aho. I know you're not a fan of his, though, right, Phil?
Sebastian Aho, I've liked this year. Yeah. I mean, all the improvements he's made have come at the expense of his offensive game, which is fine, right? Like you saw in the first period, there was a situation where he easily could have pinched 50-50 puck. He was already backtracking, and he's doing a lot of mistake mitigation and putting himself into situations where he's not going to be exposed. And I think that's fine, right? And what does he have, 9 points on the season as opposed to 15? Well, if he had 15 points, that would also result with 8 more goals in the back of our net. So I have no problem with what I've seen from Aho for the majority of this year.
He set up Parise earlier too today.
Yeah, I mean, I like Sebastian Aho. I've always liked him. Oh my gosh, Varlamov. Okay, 2-1.
Islanders down 2-1.
For me, I think that Aho, all his limitations are physical ones. He's just not big enough, just not strong enough. But I think he's been positionally solid. I don't see any of that from Romanov. Not at all. I see no positional responsibility at all from him. That's frustrating. And I think it's hurt when he's playing with Noah Dobson. I think it's really hurt Dobson's game.
Oh, that's a save you got to make. I'm looking at the replay.
Yeah, that's one he wants to come up with.
You want to come up with that.
Yep. But yeah, I don't disagree, Grumpy.
Wait a minute. Did that hit off the crossbar and then behind him?
Crossbar hits off his leg and kind of.
Oh, that's a little more difficult than I thought it was then.
But when you talk about that, I don't think you're wrong, Grump. When you're mentioning that, Aho, I'm sorry, when you talk about Romanov, I think he's been out of position ad nauseum this year, and I think
he takes himself out of position because he's a step-up defender. He likes to throw those hip checks, and then he'll put himself out of position, 100%.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I know you're up in that neck of the woods. Not quite that neck of the woods, but around that neck of the woods. When they said, he was Montreal's best defenseman. I watched Montreal play. That's not surprising because I don't think they play any defense.
They don't play any.
So it would not be surprising. And then, because I didn't really, honestly, I didn't know anything about him when they traded for him. I said, gosh, I don't even remember him. And then they said, oh, no, they love him. He's such a good defenseman. I'm sorry. I've been disappointed with what I've seen from him, but I'm willing to give him one more year. I think Ryan Pulock has taken a step back.
The reason why these defensemen are struggling, it's not player personnel wise, it's because we've changed and we're asking them to do something that they're not accustomed to doing over the last 4 years under Trotz. I'm not saying we revert back to a Trotz style of hockey, but again, it's all about finding the happy median. Sure, you can join in on the rush, but if you look at sustained pressure we've had this year, every single opportunity and chance has to be sending 4 guys forward on the forward check. It just leaves us open and susceptible to rushes going back, odd man rushes going the other way. And here's the other thing, right? We have such a huge separation between our forward and defense group throughout transition where it allows easy penetration for the 3 forwards of the opposing team to gain the blue line and create opportunities. We're in a situation where if we had more talented forwards, we would not have to ask our defensemen to do as much, and you would see Pelech and Pulock looking and reverting back to oh man, these guys are real steady Eddie defensemen. They're doing something right back there. We don't see that now because we're asking them to do different things on the ice.
I also don't think our forwards have been good defensively at all. I mean,
yes,
most of these guys just don't back check. It's frustrating.
And these are the team guys, right? The cul-de-sac crew. They just don't do it. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. To quote Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction, look at the big brain on Brad. TJ actually giving some analytical analysis there for a change. That's something new. Novel approach from TJ.
It's something to do with this shirt, Grumpy. I've got to rip this off. It's an issue I've got with the shirt.
Are you saying that when Phil wears that shirt when he starts tweeting and when he's doing the crazy shit, he takes the shirt off? Is that what you're trying to say?
It gives him super powers is what it is.
Are they benching Dufour now?
I don't know, but I did see William Dufour.
I'm not allowed to watch the game when it's on, Phil, just to let you know.
Grumpy, because you don't multitask well. But no, I think we're in a situation where it's just a forward group really that needs to be revamped. I think it's something that is doable. I think a guy like Aatu Ratu can step in next year and be a third line center, can play legitimate minutes and work and earn his way up to possibly a number 2 guy. He showed enough, I think, to give real reason of hope that he can be an everyday NHLer.
I agree. What about you, Phil?
Phil, focus on the game. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Stop watching the TV, Phil. Go ahead. Why don't you yell at Phil, TJ?
Ratu.
It's our guest, Grumpy. I'm not going to yell at a guest.
No, Ratu. Listen, I like him. I just, other than watching him in the AHL, I haven't been able to actually see enough of him where I can have a defined opinion because they barely played him. I wish I would have seen him in more normal situational play. 6.5 minutes between Ross and Martin really can't inform one way or the other where almost all of the starts are in the offensive zone. They weren't giving him any real defensive responsibilities. I think his skating is fine. It's not great. It doesn't have a lot of burst. His shot is great. He could clearly finish. I think with the way they're managing him, it's clear that they have no intention of burning off the first year of his ELC. And if not for that, he'd probably still be up, meaning they probably want to have him on the team next year, which requires you to make a spot for him. So is that going to be moving Cizikas to the wing and making that a permanent thing where Cizikas shouldn't be a center anymore? After watching him on the wing, he was infinitely better on the wing. I know it was 5 games, but I mean, him being able to use his speed to fly the zone and not having all that defensive responsibility, I think a line of like Cizikas, Pajot, whomever next year is an interesting line. When you're not bringing Parise back.
I thought he played really well with Matt Barzal.
He did. I think his speed, allowed Barzal more space, I think.
And he gives the puck to Barzal and he skates and Barzal will find you.
Yes.
That's what so many of I just don't think enough of the guys on this team have the skating ability to do that, honestly.
Correct.
And I liked him.
Cizikas is one of them. Listen, he's not a solution for Barzal, but he's got the speed where he's able to keep up with him and then help Barzal create space and then make plays. I think they scored like 4 goals on that line together.
Yeah, they were good.
Oh my God. Josh Bailey is just...
Bailey just blows. I can't.
Just giving a possession like that is just disgusting.
He sucks and blows.
But yeah, they're doing the Bailey, Barzal, Beauvillier line.
Bailey. Bailey's on the first line. If it's not Bailey, it's Holmstrom. I'm like, why does he have to skate with no ones, with just failures?
I think what you were mentioning too with Cizikas being a fit for Matt Barzal, that's right. We don't have a lot of guys who work well with Matt Barzal where they still go ahead and are looking to create open space. They're looking to move. They're looking to gel well. You see a lot of people stand around and become passengers when they line up with Matt Barzal. Cizikas didn't. Neither does Hudson Fasching. That's why they work well, even though their talent level is not that of an elite caliber player. But they work well on the first line because they're all guys who they just have this synergy together. They mesh well. We need more guys who have that mindset to play on the same line as Matt Barzal. And I think that's when you see him continuing to put up not only goals, but to assist a whole boatload of individuals.
Man, if Fasching had league average finishing talent, he'd have like 7 goals already.
Yes.
This guy, he's able to, he protects the puck well. He's able to get into high danger scoring areas. And then once he gets there, not a lot happens. Oh, Aho drawing another penalty.
I'm just going to say that this period here, the Boston's been playing like they're a man up the whole period. Now that the Islanders are going on the power play, it's going to be like they're 2 men up. So let's see if Boston scores.
I mean, how criminal is it not to use Dufour on the power play?
That's why
I don't get it.
There.
I don't get it.
Why he should be there. The same thing. The same thing with Wallstrom, though, right?
Yeah, 100%. The power play one. I mean, it's been anemic because their only play is okay. Let's get a one-timer for Dobson, and if it doesn't go in, let's hope that either Pajot or Lee collect a rebound.
That's it.
And it's worked like 8 times the whole season. That's it. That's your one shooter.
I remember we had talked about earlier on this year that things were going to level out. I was not expecting to this extent. I mean, we started off the year the power play was working well. And I wonder if just as simple as teams have made adjustments and our coaching staff is unwilling to modify the power play enough or to change mentalities a bit in order to continue to generate those opportunities for us, because we still look like we're stagnating and doing the same exact thing as we've done day one. And I think the rest of the league has caught on to that as well.
They have. They're fading Dobson hard. They're not letting him get that shot off. And they're just clogging every passing lane, and Barzal holds the puck for like 30 seconds because he has nowhere to go with it. There are no options. No one's moving. We have absolutely no movement on the power play. No one's changing positions. There's no creativity. There's no illusion. Listen, they're 3 for their last 47 power plays.
Oof. Impressive.
That is. I don't even think for the past 6 weeks. I don't think their 5-on-5 play has been bad. I think their 5-on-5 play has been level. This power play has cost them 8 points. 8 points easily.
And that's why the
league average power play, you have 3 to 4 more wins. For sure.
I think that's why we called up, as you'd mentioned on Twitter, Dennis Shalovsky gets a chance. I'm shocked Ishikov was not the guy called. I don't watch any Bridgeport games, as I've said multiple times, but I'm shocked Ishikov was not the guy who got the call up. Instead, it was
not against Boston. He'd get killed. He's too small.
Let me ask you a question.
Not in this game.
Does he play any defense, or is he a Bailey out there or a Lee?
He's got a lot more skill than Bailey, and he could shoot. But no, he doesn't. He doesn't play much defense.
Okay, so he fits in with Lee and Bailey, and pretty much the whole cul-de-sac crew.
But he's fun to watch. He's like, I wouldn't say he's Barzell, but he's fun.
Wouldn't you see? That's what I mean. It seems like we have guys who could potentially be NHLers. And
well, I mean, listen, they're giving them the run, right? We've seen Holmstrom, we've seen Ratu, now we're seeing Dufour. Although I don't think Dufour has played since that second goal.
Ratu played on the fourth line like 3 minutes a night, it feels like. Or I'm obviously exaggerating. It was like 7 or 8 minutes a night. Ratu, I don't think, was given a fair and honest chance. He's centering guys like, for the most part, he's centering guys like Matt Martin and Ross Johnson. I don't think that's a fair assessment of what he can do.
What did Croc do to go in?
What did he do? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what this penalty is.
They probably just said he's a loser. Send him to the bench.
Is that what they said?
Oh, I don't know what the hell. Always stick the guy up top. Well, he drew a penalty earlier today when he got hit on the hands and he throws his head back and they give him you must have heard Croc.
That's a penalty?
Hold on. What's the penalty?
What's the penalty?
High sticking.
With what? The knob of the stick?
I don't know. He got one of those called to our benefit earlier today.
Hey, Racky.
Carl Racky.
Oh man.
Stick up.
Well, I don't know. There it is. It wasn't behind the net. I see.
Looked like
it was out front. It was up top.
What do we think of Lane? What do we think of Lane Lambert?
I think Lane was put in a situation where not only is he not going to succeed, but he's not the right spot. And what they're at, he has been put the same exact situation that Barry Trotz was. No additions to this team continuously, and we need you to go ahead and purdy up a shit that's out there on the ice.
Purdy?
Purdy?
Got to purdy something up?
Purdy up a shit that's out there on the ice and make it into a diamond. Because in the same token, we need goal scoring. That's something we've struggled with consistently. The only way we can generate that, I firmly believe, is by having a defenseman consistently join the rush. If we look at all the pressure we've had this year, rush, 4 guys always entering the zone. That consistent pressure against shitty teams allows us to score, and against good teams, we get exposed. I think that I don't know if this is what he would have wanted to do, or maybe this is a style he wants. That's A. Or B, this is a style that he has to run in order to make sure that we could go ahead and generate enough offense to be somewhat competitive.
I don't know. When I see Philadelphia playing competitive hockey under Tortorella with significantly worse players, it just makes me think, I mean, he's a rookie coach, maybe in over his head this season. There's been a lot of questionable in-game management. The power play has never been worse. I don't recall it ever being this bad under Trotz. It's horrible. 3 for 47. I can't remember that.
Well,
now 3 for 48 with this
348 now. So I don't want you to soft sell it, Phil.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Continue what your response is going to be, Grumpy.
For me, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. Here's the thing, DJ. When you start talking too long, I kind of lose train of what you're saying, and I kind of tune you out. I was going to ask Phil if he found that too, but he had a lucid response. So maybe it's just me.
I think it's just you, Grumpy.
Okay,
I don't think
cool.
I talk. Maybe
that's fine. That's fine. I can go with that. It's just me. That's fine.
It's just the old individual kicking in.
Here's the thing. Honestly, I've not been able to focus on anything on this podcast ever since Phil said he wants to tell us like the 1, 3, and 5 year plan, because I'm all in for that. That's absolutely what I'm talking about. It's my favorite thing to do.
Let's do that. Let's transition, because I want to add. Well, no, you were asking, what do you think about Lane Lambert, Grumpy?
Lane Lambert. That's right, Lane Lambert.
Yes, Grumpy. What were you thinking about Lane Lambert?
I don't. My personal opinion, I don't think he's going to be here very long.
I don't think so either. I think he's.
Fuck! Did you just see Romanov fucking screw the pooch on that opportunity? Not only is he sliding around, doesn't block.
Hey, you're supposed to be focusing on his podcast, not talking about what's going on the screen. All right.
Already there, Grumpy. Get to
have your priorities straight.
What do you think of Lane Lambert, Grump?
I think he's just been set up to fail, and I agree. I think when Lamarillo goes, and if they hire somebody other than Fredo, Lane Lambert goes as well.
I don't know. I think they're good enough where they should be better in the standings than where they are. 100%.
Do you really though?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And you could see, I mean, they've cost themselves with like mental mistakes and, melting away a 3-goal lead at home. Like
we've always done that though.
Bullshit like that. No, they haven't always done that.
Let me ask you this.
Brock needs to score there.
How many different pieces do we have on this team from when Garth originally built this? What, maybe like 40, 35% of the team is of different cast and crew and characters.
This team on paper is much better than than Trotz's first year's team that had 103 points, without question.
Okay, well, what I'm saying here, okay, Trotz
without question.
I disagree because they were all younger and better skaters back then. I just think
no, I don't think so. I think Barzal is better this year than he was that first year.
Okay.
Beauvillier, I don't know what the hell happened.
He's worse.
He shouldn't be this bad. No, but that first year, he only had 28 points that year. But he wasn't good. They demoted him to the third line 100 times because he was a basket case that year. He only had 20.
I don't think you're seeing the jump from him that you have previously, though.
You need to get rid of him at this point. He's got to go.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what do you think we can get for him? You think we can get a Brock Besser for him?
You could, but you don't want to. You want to tie up $6.8 million in Brock Besser for 2? Oh,
I don't care if I'm moving out Brock Nelson and Varlamov.
I don't know. Besser's not that good.
Well, before you get off topic, you will.
God, here we go. You see what he does, Phil? You see what he does? You see what he does?
They had a third line of Filppula, Komarov, and like sometimes it was Dal Cole, sometimes it was Ladd, sometimes it was Kuhnhackl, right?
Tom Kuhnhackl.
I mean, replacing that with Parise, Pajot, and Palmieri to start the year, infinitely better. I don't think Lee is any worse a player than he was back then. Lee is who he is. I mean, he was always just, he'll score in bunches, and he plays a certain style where he's able to collect a lot of goals because he operates from a high danger area, and that's it. I don't think you could say like, oh yeah, from year one of Trotz till now, he's like a significantly worse player. I don't think that's the case. I don't think Nelson's a worse player. I think Nelson's a better player.
Do you think Brock Nelson has? I think Brock Nelson has regressed under what we've seen under him under Trotz.
Defensively for sure. He is horrible defensively, and it makes no sense.
Even streakiness, even with consistency on the ice. I mean, like what he hasn't scored.
I mean, it's just really been these last 12 games. These last 12 games are like the first time you're seeing Brock in the last 2 years have an extended cold streak.
It's only been for the last 16% of the season. What is what it was like 12 games over 82. What is it like? Hey, that's only been about 15% of the season.
No, I get that, but like you'll have that with good players everywhere. It's just you haven't seen it from Brock in 3 years.
I think the main reason why he's not been scoring recently is because we haven't had a whole lot of empty net situations where he could pad his stats.
He does have 3 empty net goals and 1 empty net assist.
Him and Parise. Okay.
Yeah, grumpy. But here's the thing. My point was this is a team cast and character-wise very similar to what it was when Barry Trotz first took over this team and when Lou took over this team. Very, very similar team.
Listen, you replace Boychuk with Dobson. I mean, come on. This team is much better than that team.
Very similar. The forward group is almost identical. Josh Bailey's still on the team. I mean, look at it. Josh Bailey, Matt Barzal.
Josh Bailey is the only guy who really got much worse. But I'm saying you've taken out, the Kuhnhackl, Filppula, Komarov, and you replace that with 3 guys who, under normal circumstances are good for like a combined 50 to 55 goals.
75% of our forward group is the same then.
Okay, but I'm just going to say that they knew what their role was, and they were really, really good at it. That third line grinding defensive shutdown role, they were really good at it. Everyone had their set, their job and their task. They got the first year bump from Trotz as the head coach after having, me out there coaching, and they had a legitimate head coach come in, and all of a sudden they had structure. Everybody bought in, and they fed off that. That's what I think it was. I think right now, I don't think we're as talented just by where the players are now from where they were then.
But like you're saying, it was the structure, it was the buy-in. I think they cared more. I think the Tavares leaving, I think that fueled them a lot, and that was a big part of it. And everyone was kind of like, all right, we're going to prove people wrong. I think a lot of it is this group is just not inspired by Lane. he's just uninspiring.
But
there's no system.
That's true.
There's nothing to him. He's just bland, generic head coach who makes weird Doug Waite faces when they ask him questions in the press conferences, and I just can't stand looking at him anymore.
I think the first comment you made was 100. I'm sorry, Grumpy. If you're going to remember, will you remember your point, or let you respond?
Now let Grumpy go. He's not going to remember.
I won't remember.
Okay, Grumpy.
I think you could say though that they tuned out Barry Trotz as well.
For sure, no question about it. And Barry mentally probably shouldn't be coaching this year. I think that was part of it.
And I guess my point is, if you had a guy who, and I think Barry Trotz is I think he's a really good regular season coach. I don't think he's a great playoff coach because I don't think he's really good at making adjustments. But I do think that he's a really good regular season coach. He gets guys to buy in. And if they tuned him out and they tune out Lane Lambert, I never thought we were extremely talented. I've been on the record. We're just not super talented. And if they're not buying in and you're not talented, it's time to blow it up, Phil.
I want to respond because what you guys were talking about, I thought Phil was 100% honest there, or 100% correct on that point. The first full year under Trotz, you're right. It was F. John Tavares. He left us in the dumps. He wanted to go ahead after the way he left. I think there was definitely some maybe sour grapes amongst the crew, and they wanted to prove everybody wrong. I mean, that was the mantra: prove everyone wrong. That was the mantra of that New York Islanders team. If you look at that time period, the next year, we weren't going to make the postseason. If it wasn't for a truncated COVID year, we were not making the postseason in 2020. True. And the reason we made the postseason in 2021, we played a 52-game regular season.
It was 54.
And we played, we
56.
Played a 56-game regular season. Where we played against the Devils 8 times, and we played against the Buffalo Sabres 8 times.
Okay, but we finished 11 points ahead of the Rangers, who also played the Devils 8 times, who also played the Sabres 8 times. Sure. And we started resting our starters from game 51. So
under Trotz, we never lost against bad teams. Never, ever, ever. Most teams have those up and downs where sometimes they'll be.
No, we did. We did lose against bad teams under Trotz.
What was our record against the Devils and against the? I know the record was good. I don't know the exact record, but I'm wondering what the record was against the Devils against the Sabres that year.
In that year, it was 6-1-1 against the Sabres.
That's okay.
And I believe it was 6-2 against the Devils.
Okay,
or 5-2-1. We lost to them the first time we played them. They shut us out. I remember it was Scott Wedgwood in net. He made his return to the NHL that year, and they shut us out. Beauvillier got hurt that game. It was like game 5 of the season. It was Sorokin's second start, as a matter of fact. They lost to the Devils late when they benched, you remember that game toward the end? I think they benched Eberle, they benched Green, they benched a couple guys, and they went with a top line of Zajac. Yeah. They started resting guys for the postseason. So they lost twice at least that I could recall.
I think what TJ's trying to say,
but they kicked the Rangers' ass that year. 6-1-1.
We beat Boston the first 4 or 5 times we played them, and then after that we struggled. We
went 5-2-1 against Boston that year.
We had a really long winning streak that year. How many games in a row did we win? It was it
was 9 out. It was 12 out of 13, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, when you start off that well in a 52-game season, it's almost impossible not to make the postseason.
Yeah, 56. But even if you played out the next 26 games, right, and assuming that from game 51 to 56, the Islanders didn't rest anyone and took it more seriously, because those 2 Buffalo games where they blew two goal leads in the third period, they mailed those in. They weren't trying.
And that's what
the Rangers never would have caught them.
No, I 100% agree. That was definitely the top 4 and the bottom 4.
100%.
That was
David Quinn's Rangers were never catching us.
Never. I think what TJ was trying to say, Phil, is under Trotz, we always had, you didn't see us come out flat against bad teams. We almost always took care of business. Our record against the bad teams was pretty good. I mean, it was almost, and I won't say almost an automatic win, but I'll say 80% winning.
I was going to say 75 to 80%.
That to me, that's pretty good.
That's really good. Yeah.
And I think that's what TJ was trying to touch on. TJ, can we just do the ad read real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we can, Grumpy. Today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. The NFL playoff action continues. We're one step closer to Super Bowl 57. And for the NFL divisional round, check out DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and you got that keyword, and existing customers can get a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Boost your NFL winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. So you could go ahead and say, I'm going to ride the hot hand. I think the Giants are going to go ahead and win again this weekend. I think the Giants are going to beat the Eagles. So you can bet whatever you want. You could stack it up. I think Barkley is going to be held to under 100 rushing yards. You can put whatever you want on there. But download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 on the NFL divisional round and get $200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes in the description for additional details.
I like the Giants this week too, by the way. I'm excited about them.
I'm telling you, I think they might find a way to win.
I think so. I mean, San Francisco is a whole different ball game, but I think Jalen Hurts has played one half in the past 6 weeks.
And
hit him early, hit him off, and get him out of his rhythm. Just knock the shit out of him.
You're saying that Dallas has no shot?
I don't think Dallas has any shot, no.
Okay.
You think Dallas has a shot, though?
I do think Dallas has a shot.
I think it's going to be San Francisco hosting the Giants.
I'm not
2011 Redux.
I'm not picking. Well, we know how that turned out.
It was great for us.
I'm not picking Dallas to beat San Francisco, but I think no one's giving them a shot. No one.
Okay, and I hear what you're saying. I think they're being unfairly maligned. To me, they're Dallas. They're the Dallas Cowboys.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Right.
But I think them winning a playoff game for the first time since, forever, gets a monkey off their back, without a doubt. Even though it was against a really bad Tampa team.
Really bad Tampa team.
They were terrible all year. You hear people saying how Brady's washed. No.
He just had no one with him.
No one. Absolutely no one. He's going to go somewhere else, and he's going to have a bounce back year next.
Probably. He's not retiring.
Yeah.
Listen, I had zero doubt in my mind that the Giants were beating the Vikings.
I thought they'd win all. I just don't think Minnesota's that good.
No, they had a shamrock up their ass all year.
But I was surprised at how the Giants dominated them.
They dominated. I mean, Minnesota got a lot of help from the officiating crew.
Yeah.
Especially with that roughing the passer nonsense.
You remember 3 weeks ago, the Giants don't turn the ball over. They walk away with that game too in Minnesota.
Or without like a 66-yard field goal.
Yeah. I mean,
again, fluke. They had like fluky shit like that all year. And it's Kirk Cousins. It's Kirk Cousins.
Fourth and 8, and we're going to throw a 3-yard out to the tight end. Okay.
What an idiot.
Jerk.
Great tackle, by the way, and on a tough player to bring down.
Yeah.
Right. That's an underrated play by McKinney there. But I like our Giants this week. I think we go in. I think we knock off the Philadelphia Eagles. And then it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. I think there's something. I think there's something to this team. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I do think there's something there.
They have that 2007, 2011
swagger to them, yeah,
where they're getting pressure with their front four.
Yes,
it's always been the key for the Giants. If they get pressure with their front four, they're going to be really competitive. Daniel Jones, it's probably the best game I've ever seen him play from start to finish.
100%, flawless.
That's not Daniel Jones. Now he was like, "Oh, keep Daniel Jones. He's the answer." No, he's not the answer.
They're going to keep him. Listen, I think we're not going to talk too much football, but we've talked about this before. Eli Manning, good quarterback, never a great quarterback. Somewhere in the 12 to 15 range on most seasons. Once in a while, broke into the top 10 and had really, really nice seasons. It is very hard to get that position down. That's just the bottom line. And I think the odds of drafting someone in the next 4 years who's even going to give you what Daniel Jones is giving you, it's just hard. It's a very difficult position to solve for.
Yeah. And
I think they're going to give him the extension for that reason.
You think they regret not giving him that 5th-year option?
Yeah.
Probably.
He's not.
But I mean, listen, he had to prove it. He's earned it. You cannot take away from him what he's done this year in terms of taking care of the football and giving them a chance to win almost every single game.
It's all Brian Daboll. It's all Brian Daboll.
It is. But you have to have a guy who's got the legs to pull off what he's doing, and that's a huge part of his game. And that's what makes the offense dangerous. They're able to run these option plays where you don't know if it's going to be Barkley, you don't know if it's going to be Jones. His passing has gotten better because his pass protection has gotten better. And he's doing it with receivers who no one has ever heard of, right? Give this guy Victor Cruz, Hakeem Nicks, and Mario Manningham, and all of a sudden it's a Super Bowl team.
I'm not going that far. I just don't think I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that good.
He is a slightly better than average league quarterback at this point because of his legs.
He's like the Islanders of NFL quarterbacks.
Oh, nice segue back in.
Nice segue back to the Islanders. Okay. TJ went to the bathroom, so we got off track.
There it is. Now
TJ's pretty good at controlling things.
I know, but I like talking a little NFL.
That's tomorrow night. That's tomorrow night.
TJ
and the Grumpy Old Man Show.
Absolutely. Now, I think
Phil,
that
do you subscribe to that? Do you subscribe to that show, Phil?
I've only watched one of those, to be honest.
You're really missing out.
I like you. Listen, other than Islanders hockey and Giants football, I don't really follow much else.
Well, we talk about Giants football and Islander hockey on that podcast.
All right, I'll have to tune in more often then.
Absolutely, you will.
Every time you're on the show, Grumpy Old Man brings up the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man Show. Says, Phil, you subscribe? Do you watch the show every time?
I want to make sure. I want to feel them out.
Oh, good gracious. But, I think we've talked about it as of, what the postseason picture looks like. Let me ask you this. Without intervention, without changing the team, do you think the Islanders are a team that could compete for a playoff spot as currently constituted?
This year?
Yes.
I mean, of course they can, because I don't think Pittsburgh has proven to not be great, and Washington's not that great either. I mean, if we didn't bag fumble against Washington, they would have been on a 4-game losing streak right now, including 2 to the Flyers. They're just not a great team. They're a fine team. They're maybe marginally better than us. We have 6 more games versus Washington and Pittsburgh, which are going to play a big role in shaping what ends up happening and down the stretch. And again, I'm not getting excited about it. I'm just giving you how I see it, right? Adam Pellick's going to be back any day. I think he's been someone who they've missed pretty big, especially when you see Chalowski out there for 2 goals right now. And that Ranger game, if you don't have Robin Salo in there, they probably win that game. There's probably a handful of games you could point to where Pellick makes a difference. There are a bunch of games where you could point to where having both Palmieri and Wallstrom make a difference. The reality is they just don't have those players, and they have what they have, but they're probably going to get healthier at some point. I don't see Washington or Pittsburgh completely pulling away. And the February-March schedule is a lot lighter than the December-January schedule. So for those reasons, as currently constituted, I'd give them a 45% chance of making it.
Now, you said that the schedule softens up for us. Is that correct in February and March?
February, March, yeah.
What he said.
We can take a look at it together if you'd like.
He said it softens. He said it softens. You heard him.
I'm just saying I could look at the strength of schedule, at least the points won. And again, we're not in February or March just quite yet, but we still have the 3rd toughest remaining schedule in the NHL right now. Just based off a team strength of schedule wise. We've had, going into this point, I think the 2nd or 3rd easiest schedule in the NHL so far. And what I knew right during this home stretch, we're going to be facing.
But I want to point one thing out.
Yeah.
We are getting both of those Tampa games, and I believe one of those Carolina games, at a point in the season where those teams very likely won't have anything to play for.
Maybe
Carolina's going to kick our ass right off the freaking.
Those are at the very end.
Maybe they're fighting for seeding.
Tampa might be fighting for home ice at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they're only fighting for home ice. Let's be realistic.
The Devils and the Hurricanes are fighting for who gets, who's going to be.
The Canes are going to pull away from them.
The Canes right now are 1 point ahead, 44 games in.
I know, but they're going to pull away. The Devils' remaining schedule is a lot tougher than Carolina's.
Okay. I mean,
I know Carolina's got to play us a couple of times. That makes their schedule.
Pull up February, pull up March.
Carolina and the Devils are pretty much neck to neck when we're talking about straight the schedule. Because of the match.
Let me tell you something, Phil. He loves to whip this thing out.
Well, I'm just saying,
absolutely loves it.
It's tough.
I think it's informative. I just don't think it's as meaningful as people think, especially when you see, the Capitals, Islanders, Rangers, and Penguins all losing on a pretty regular basis this season to shitty teams.
Here's the way I look at it. I think that Washington will make the playoffs. I think you're going to see them get better when Carlson comes back.
Is Carlson coming back?
I heard that I thought he was coming back. I didn't think he was out for the season.
I mean, if he doesn't, whatever concussion Pellick had, Carlson's got to have it much worse.
People recovered.
He took a point blank slap shot to the head, hit him in the face. I mean, it didn't even hit the helmet.
He wasn't very pretty to begin with, so I don't think that matters.
He's been out.
I'm just saying from a concussion standpoint.
December 24th, and they said John Carlson a little bit more back to normal as of January the 5th. So I don't know. Maybe I didn't know he's been out since he's been out since before Christmas.
Well,
I didn't know. I mean, if you watch the play, that is, he took a laser beam off the head.
I think he'll be back before the end of the year. I'm going on the assumption he'll be back.
Okay.
That's a big plus for them. And I think you're just going to see Wilson and Backstrom get better the more they play. I think Washington will make the playoffs. Pittsburgh's a team that I think but okay.
But again, we play Pittsburgh 3 times, right?
I don't think we're going to see 5 teams. I don't think we're going to see 5 teams come out of the Metro.
I think we will. I think 100%.
Florida's
really picked up their play.
As much as
they're not hot. What are you talking about? They've won one of their last 4 games? One of the last 5?
They're playing better. They're playing better.
Are they? They give up a ton of goals. They have no goaltending.
Well, I think it's more of a defensive thing.
They wound up losing. I forgot they wound up losing last night.
They lost last night. They choked away a lead. I have no faith in Florida.
Yeah, they're 5-4-1 in the last 10.
There's just a lot of teams that are really, really close that if any of them takes off, we're not making the playoffs.
Well, hold on. You don't like Florida. Florida, if we lose tonight in regulation, Florida's only 3 points behind us with the same amount of games played.
I know. Yeah. I just don't like them. I don't like their goaltending.
And they've been bad all year.
We've been bad all year too. Let's be real. But I told you early in the season, like 6 games in, I'm like, this is the worst. This might be the worst East I've seen in a long time. It's bad. The East is very bad. You have let's call it the Bruins and Canes are like the class of the East. And then you go one step down then you got the Maple Leafs and Lightning as 3 and 4, right neck and neck. And then you've got the Devils
and the Rangers.
The Rangers are below the Devils. The Devils are, if the Devils got consistent goaltending, they'd be in that top echelon, as a matter of fact. If you watch them play, they look like the Harlem Globetrotters out there.
They're good.
They're really, really good. I would say the Rangers are firmly in 6 right now. And then you've got the rest is just all meh.
I agree to a certain extent. I'll tell you what, the Devils, they were the one team I missed on.
Everyone missed on them.
I did not expect them to be as good as they are this year.
That's right, Grumpy. Who said that the Devils were going to be probably getting the last playoff spot over the Islanders this year?
Okay, but you also
I did not
said that the Red Wings would be. You said the Red Wings would be good, and they stink.
I did. The Red Wings still have a hope, and they still have chance.
The Red Wings suck.
The Red Wings still have
Stevie
hope.
Stevie has lost his fastball.
Oh, stop!
Ooh, watch out, Phil.
Stevie's lost his fastball.
Words. Oh man, but I got it pulled up for March. We play the Red Wings. That's gonna be a tough game. That's pretty much an automatic loss. The Red Wings in Detroit, that's a loss.
It's not in Detroit. It's by us.
Oh, is it? Well, that's even.
I don't think the relationship between the Islanders and Red Wings is they win their home games, we win our home games. That's how it's been for like 3 years now.
The Islanders are headed back to a power play. They're going to be on their 4th power play of the evening.
Oh, let's see if they do 4 and figure out some sort of different look here.
Oh my God, Nelson again with this freaking diving. This guy's flopping all over the damn place. He's a bitch.
I'm telling you though, it's
if he's not very, very hurt, then something.
He was barely touched and he threw himself on the ground. What do you think his name is? Leo Messi?
Leon Messi. Grumpy, you always mispronounce that motherfucker's name.
I pronounce it however the hell I want.
Oh my God. Honestly, dude, that's pathetic. That right there by Brock Nelson is pathetic. Did he hit him in the arm?
He hit him in the shoulder.
That's
no. He got him in the neck. What are you talking about?
I'm watching.
That's not pathetic.
Okay, I'm watching on the phone.
He didn't miss half a second after getting sticked like that. Not even.
No, he got sticked in the neck.
Oh, let me tell you something. No, sorry.
No, that's not a flop. He got him in the neck.
I got
him on the neck. That's what happened.
I'm calling flop on that one. That's a
Not a
flop.
flop.
I can't. I'm watching on the phone. I can't rewind it, so I'll
The
let.
phone.
That's a
All right,
veteran penalty right there.
Let's go. So
Now it's the veteran
wait,
penalty.
I thought you said it was a February March thing, is what Phil said.
I thought you said it was March. Was it February, March? I'm sorry if it was February, March. Okay, I blasted through February.
Yeah, let's
We
go.
got the Flyers first game. That
Should be a win.
You got to win that one. Yeah,
the Kraken.
you got to beat them. You
Yeah.
have to.
Okay.
At home, you should.
We're going to lose to them.
Then the Vancouver Canucks.
You got to beat the Canucks.
Got to beat them. We can't lose teams again. We can't lose to Montreal. Cannot.
We almost lost to Montreal just recently at home.
Yet we can't.
Well, we dominated that game. It's just Montembeault is on the craziest heater I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I
can't lose to them.
The second and third period, Montreal kind of carried action. We had a great
third period. Not at all. What do they have? 5 shots the whole third period. One of them happened to go in, but I think we outshot. They had like 5 shots.
I thought we outplayed Montreal. I thought in the third period they outplayed us. They might not have showed up.
They barely had any shots.
But I thought they carried the play, though. Man, that Bailey just won't shoot the freaking puck. I'm sorry. He's on the power play. They don't. Why is he on the power play, Phil? Why?
To take years off your life.
He's done that already.
To take years off your life.
But we can guarantee, we should hopefully, I mean, like maybe we'll still have Bavillier at that point. If we don't trade him before then, he'll probably put up at least a point or two because he's always guaranteed a few points against Montreal. But then we play the Ottawa Senators.
How is Dennis Cholowski on the power play?
He's good.
He's very good at it.
He moves the puck well.
He moves the puck very well, and he's got a good shot.
Yeah,
he sucks.
That's one of the few things that Cholowski.
Okay, let's get back to this.
But yeah, the Flyers, the Crack. I'm not sure on the Kraken, but the Flyers, the Canucks, the Canadians, and the Senators all need to be wins or bare minimum. You're coming away with an overtime loss.
No, those got to be wins. Those got to be wins.
You got to have wins.
They got to be wins. You can't keep overtime losing to shitty teams.
Right.
Then we've got here the Penguins, the Bruins, the Penguins, the Jets.
You got to take at least one of those Penguin games.
Yeah, because you're going to lose to the Jets and to the Bruins.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to come down to two out of the last 3 Penguin games. You have to have at least 2 of those 3, right?
And then it's the Kings, the Jets, and the Wild. I mean, that is a tough end of February.
Again, you got to
really tough.
Okay, the end of the month, but at the beginning of the month is about the softest part of the schedule they've had in a long time.
You realize though, when we've had soft parts of the schedule before, we're playing like 500 hockey.
I'm just saying this is the opportunity. They got to cash in, and they have to get back to beating good teams again. They were beating good teams. They got to get back to beating good teams.
I think that's over.
I think that
they shouldn't have lost to Minnesota.
And that's all. Once the deadline is the trade deadline is March 2nd.
No, I thought it was February 4th.
March 3rd.
March 3rd.
Okay.
Yep.
March 3rd.
So before they play, after February, we'll know.
I think we're going to know after this, the 8-game stretch we had in 13 days. Now 7 games remaining. We're going to know exactly whether this team can make it or not. I mean, like let me ask you this: what do you, if you're a betting man, Phil? I know Andy. You've had some help. I guess we got to ask Andy this too. But what's the likelihood you think that we are making the postseason as of right now?
He said 45%.
45%.
45%. I didn't know if that was just no intervention, no additions, or
that's just simply by getting Pelech back next week.
Okay, wow. So you're a big into the camp of Pelech is going to solve a lot of the issues we've got right now.
Yeah, I think he would have made a difference in a number of different games. I do. You wouldn't have Romanov and Aho playing as many minutes as they are. I think the 5-on-5 play has gotten better to the point where now that people are playing better overall at even strength, he only helps with that. Helps minimize mistakes, helps with possession. And, surprisingly, offensively, he was doing well. What do you have, 11 points in 27 games? I mean, he was on pace for 30-some-odd points. So it's not like he's, completely inept, on that side of the puck. He's gotten better over the last 2 years. So, yeah, I think he contributes a lot more than these Wotherspoon and, Cholowski and Salo and all this nonsense that's been,
injury to
ailing us for a bit.
On the power play. I don't know what it is. He's going right to the dressing room.
Who is?
Bergeron.
Well, you got to win now.
I don't know if he took a
stick or a slap shot to the face.
Slap shot. Oh, right to the face. If he's got any real teeth, he's probably missing them.
You are like 7 minutes ahead of me. I just saw that now.
Grumpy is far ahead of us.
I know they delay feed in Canada, deservedly so. So
it's the regulators, right?
That's it.
Ooh, a pasta bomb right to the.
Yeah, it was deflected off the stick and took an angle. And,
oof. He'll probably be back out there. You kidding me? He'll be back out there. Oof. I think it's just because it was unexpected.
If he's Brock Nelson, he would already be out there.
Ooh, right on the head.
Oh man. I tell you, I think I'm leaning more towards us, more and more every day to us saying what I'm concerned about is if we are in a spot where we're 9th or 10th, I don't want us to double down on this team. I don't think the team is good enough to win a Stanley Cup if we're sitting 9th or 10th in the conference. I mean, like maybe you could claw your way into a playoff spot, but is that really what it's about? I mean, like, do you think this team has any chance of winning a cup if we add
anything
just keep watching? This is the way a power play should work. Just to let you know, what you're going to see here in the next couple. That's the way a power play should work.
Don't spoil it for me.
Okay, I won't.
You already did. What they scored? I'm sure they scored.
He already did. Of course he did. You kidding me? Oh man, Grumpy, per typical.
That pass, wow.
Nice play. We're over there.
Oh, man.
We're out there like on our heels that entire power play.
That was a crazy good pass.
And there's your game. Game's over. Game over.
Yeah. A loss in regulation again. Oof.
That'll do it.
I mean, here's the thing though. We've had what have we had 4 or 5 power play opportunities today? 0 goals?
4. Well, one of them only lasted 25 seconds. But yeah, I mean, it's to me that's a lot of that is coaching, right? Who puts a second power play unit of Bailey, Beauvillier, like this is nonsense. This is garbage.
The same. I mean, Trotz used to do the same.
Trotz did the same thing.
I know they would change it up. They would change it. They 100% would change it up.
Bailey was always on that second power play unit. Sometimes on the first power play unit.
Oliver Wallstrom had 9 power play goals in his first 2 years under Trotz. He gave him a lot more. It was only at the end. It was only at the very end, like past January last year, where he took him off the power play.
Oh, well, that was okay. They'll give the Islanders. They give them another power play opportunity here.
I'll have to see what it looks like. But I'm just worried we're going to be stuck adding. I mean, like, do you think this team competes?
Anders Lee takes a dive. Here's the thing: he doesn't skate fast enough to be tripped up by that.
No, that's a penalty.
It was a trip. Come on,
that's a trip. I'm
just saying. Watch the replay.
Anyway, I would want to ask.
He was on his way down. He was, as they say in soccer, he was on his way down before that contact.
Do you think that the team could win a cup? That's the thing. Let's say if we somehow manage to make the postseason, do we win a cup? Do we have a chance to win a cup?
Not with the current personnel. No way. No.
Do you think even with additions we could have a chance to win a cup?
Yeah, it depends who you're adding. Like, I mean,
David, Draisaitl.
There you go. Yeah, you add one Connor McDavid, and all of a sudden
within reason of players who are available.
Roman Josi,
fantasy land over here.
When you trade Noah Dobson for Timo Meyer, then you could.
Oh my God, no!
Why'd you do it, Phil? Why'd you do it? Is there a reason why you did that? Is there a reason why?
I had no choice.
He wants to bring it back to the future $10 million man.
He is not. I mean, if you give him
the future $10 million man,
oh my goodness, any GM that gives him $10 million is absolutely out of their goddamn mind.
Now, Phil, I'm on the record as saying he's not getting $10 million.
He's not. He's not even getting $8.5 million anymore.
There's a long way to go before that determination.
No, it's not. It's next summer. They're going to start talking extension next summer.
Okay, his contract, he's got 2 years left on the contract.
Which means they're going to start negotiating and trying to extend him next summer. Just like the Sabres are going to do with Dahlin.
The general manager is going to be at the end of this year. That's another question.
That's just the way it works. Watch. Dahlin's extension is going to be done this summer. They do it ahead of time. They did it with Barzal. They did it with Pollock. Teams do this. This is just what you do when you have a guy. The moment the window opens up where you can extend your guy, you go out and you try to do it. And if they don't extend, then you trade them. That's just what you do.
God, we're a bad team, man. Oh my Jesus.
Sometimes players' negotiations get down there to the 11th hour, but you don't think Noah Dobson could be making 8.5.
Can't watch us on the power play. Can't watch
it. Shouldn't be.
Close your eyes, Grumpy.
On the power play.
Close the eyes, Grumpy. Close your eyes.
Can't watch it.
Grump.
Phil, I have a question.
Grump, you're spoiling it. Grump is playing
watch
spoiler
it. It's
tonight.
just so bad.
He does
I can't
that shit all the time. Anytime we're watching.
Here's the thing, Phil. Do you think, regardless of where we are in the standings, we should move Mayfield, Parise, and Varlamov?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay. Because that's my thought. I don't care. Even if we're going to make the playoffs, we're not going anywhere. Probably a one and done. And you want to get as many assets as you can, even if it's, like I said, a first, 2 seconds. I'm willing to live with that. I mean, I think we need as much ammunition going into the draft, in a deep draft, as we can. And that's the way we could, kind of expedite the rebuild process, where you can move a couple of guys, and then I'm all in on your Nelson to Colorado for Newhook, a first and a second. I think Colorado would actually do a deal like that.
Okay, I'll give you my. There are 2 paths. There are only 2 paths with this team. There is no full blow up. There's no full blow up because you need Sorokin, you have Barzal, you've got Pelican Paw. There is no full blow up. No such thing. You can either, and again, the likelihood of this happening is slim. You can either trade off 2 first-round picks for Timo Meyer.
Nope.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying you like it. I'm just saying that is one path. Again, you're talking about a guy who's a top 20 winger at this point, one of the best goal-scoring wingers in the league, only 26 years old, same draft year as Barzal. You can either do that and give yourself a fighting chance to be competitive each of the next 4, 5, 6 years, or you can start doing this competitive retool, which to me, Nelson needs to be a part of. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. See, that's the way. That's what I consider that a blow up.
It's not a blow up though. When you're getting an NHL player back, it's not a blow up.
But he's not established.
He's not established, but I mean, again, when Zibanejad was traded from Ottawa, he was established.
Did you do this, TJ?
Yeah, I whipped this all up on my own and thought this up real quick and put it out there. Phil may think that some of these items look kind of familiar to his because maybe Phil put this out, Grumpy.
Okay. Well, it looks really stupid, so it must have been Phil's idea.
What are we looking at? Oh, my trades. Again, this is just a rough draft. But go ahead, take a look, Grumpy.
Yeah, critique. I like it.
Critique.
I like it.
I think everything I put down on that plate is realistic.
I'm not sold on Merkley, but okay.
That's just a change of scenery trade. We're done with Robin Salo. That's apparent. We're done with him, and I think that's fine. I think, listen, they ended up loading up on enough lefties over the past couple of years where, quite frankly, you don't need them, right? You got your two. Again, Romano's gonna be back next year. Pellick's gonna be back next year. Aho's under contract next year. So between Bolduc, who's having a breakout year in the AHL, George, Odelius, they might even sign Savigny to an NHL deal. He's only 21. There's just a lot of cooks in the kitchen over there. Malinin, I liked how he looked at the World Juniors. Again, you only need one of these guys to make the NHL. That's it. You only need one. So Salo, he's going to be 24. They need a right-hander. They need to figure out a way to flip Salo for a right-handed type Salo. And hopefully that pans out for you.
See, for me, I'm all for this. I say blow up, but this is what I'm talking about. Like I said, I don't think Salo's been given a legit shot. I don't, and they just might not like him anymore, which is fine. And if you can get something for him, fine. But you absolutely, why is Parise not in there, Phil?
Parise wasn't in there because I wanted to work within the realm of reality, and within the realm of reality, Parise would never be traded by Lou.
Oh,
see, I don't get that.
He probably has another gentleman's agreement, Grumpy, so we can't trade him away. Can't trade away.
He's coming back next year. I have no doubt.
Oh, another year of freaking Parise.
Freaking Parise. He's the best winger on the team. The issue isn't. I'm sorry. The issue isn't Parise. The issue is the players outside of Parise. Parise is doing everything you would want a guy to do from your third line. I'm sorry.
Don't have a problem with how Parise has played this year.
The odds of you replacing Parise in his role with someone better is
for the dollar amount.
Forget the dollar amount.
Well, I think the dollar amount matters. I think
Give me a third liner in UFA who you're signing.
No, that's what I'm saying. For that dollar amount, I said I don't think you're going to find someone.
Transition requires us to free up and learn what the younger players have, if anything. What does Ishikov have? What does DeFore have? What does Simon Holmstrom have in a legitimate extended role? If you've got all these winger spots filled, unless like, hey, we're also moving a guy like Bavillier, we have to free up spots in order to see what we have internally, as well as to add from the outside.
You absolutely have to move Beauvillier.
I'm down for that. Yeah, I'm just saying
he's not it anymore.
No, he's not. And again, he's a third line guy. He's a streaky third line scorer. That's it.
He's not even. He sucks.
He's not even a scorer anymore.
He doesn't play defense. He's terrible.
He needs change of scenery in the worst way.
Yeah. Sometimes players just need that.
I don't think he's terrible. I think that he needs a change of scenery desperately.
Yep. Desperately. I think he works better for a team out west too.
There's no way to get rid of Bailey at this point in time.
No, you just eat that last year and you take your medicine and done.
Now,
there's no point in like spending second round picks to get rid of him. I agree.
Anders Lee is finished. Anders Lee is finished.
Anders Lee is Anders Lee. He just is who he is.
He's not even that anymore. He's finished. I mean, can you buy him out? I mean,
no, you don't want to buy him out.
I'm just so done with him. There's so many guys. Like I said, how many of the forward group? How many guys are really keepable? How many? Realistically, if you're looking at our top 12 forwards, how many guys say, okay, these are must keep?
It's really
Barzal.
Three or four.
One. Yeah. No, it's one. It's one.
Well,
I'd keep Oliver Wahlstrom.
I don't need to keep Wahlstrom. What do you need to keep him for? I mean, it's just a shame he got hurt because now he has probably no trade value at all.
Okay. For the same people who were like, let's throw him off a cliff, the same people who said 2 years or last year, let's throw Dobson out of here. Let's get rid of Noah Dobson.
I don't think anyone ever said, let's throw Dobson off a cliff. I just think that
let's get rid of Dobson. Let's use him in a trade to go ahead and acquire XYZ.
Thomas Chabot.
The problem with Wahlstrom is he has no trade value. Like you can't move him for anything. What are you going to move him for? A third round pick? Great.
Why would you want to move him?
You want to move him if he had value.
Why?
Because he doesn't have value, you don't want to move him. Why? Because
he has value. He's 22 years old.
I mean, he's not a particularly great player. He's fine. He's ordinary. He's an easy guy to defend. He does a lot of stupid things like ending his season on these dumb helicopter hits. I mean,
okay, so hold on.
There's nothing remotely exciting about his game.
Hold on. I gotta understand. We're upset with the fact that he throws hits. We're upset with the fact of the manner of which he throws hits, and he's somewhat easy to defend.
First of all, it was a penalty. That should have been called a penalty. That hit.
Hold on.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
So this is why we're
hold on, Phil. Now, Phil, we have you on the show because you're always good with some type of ridiculous analytical, make some bullshit up.
I'm shocked we haven't got some.
And we don't have anything like that from Wahlstrom. It's just you're kind of reaching in the bag. Like that's something I would do.
He's a good third line player.
No, a third liner. What?
He cannot work with Barzal.
Matt Barzal doesn't work with a lot of players. Matt Barzal has
he's not a first liner.
Sure.
He's at best a second liner. And that's only if he outside of his shot, does he do anything exceedingly well?
I think he throws the body well. I think he's got good stick handling abilities.
Okay.
I think he's got
his stick handling is garbage. I'm sorry. It's the puck is a grenade on his stick. Even Grumpy knows it. Grumpy's looking at me like, he does not stick handle well.
Here's the thing.
He's not getting the puck.
You're describing Anders Lee, except with a way better shot.
Sure, but when you're shooting and you're shooting from low danger areas and players fade over to you knowing that you're going to shoot, you end up after 2 games in the season only scoring 4 goals in your next 33 games.
Now, Oliver Wahlstrom played well at the early part of the season until he got hurt, banged up. He missed a few games, then he came back. He
didn't miss any game. What are you talking about?
He did not miss any injury first. Then yes, he certainly did.
Here's the thing:
he missed game 1, and then he played 35 straight games.
I'm just going to
call him on this. I'm about to see if he's right on this.
I'm 100% right.
PhilzFacts is right on this. It seems like he's very confident on, but I'm calling
on a team with more talent. Oliver Wahlstrom is a way better player. He is a one-trick pony. That's what he is.
He is a one-trick pony.
But if you had
one trick, we have another guy with that trick. His name is Dufour. I mean, you don't need 2 of those.
Well, we don't know about William DeFore yet either. We don't know. So I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is he's not a must-keep kind of player.
I'm not ready to
he has no trade value, so you have to keep him. You're going to sign him for 2 years, $1.5 million in the summer. Okay, fine.
I'm not willing to get rid of him as being a 22-year-old. Just not.
No, you're not
yet.
because he's going to be insanely cheap, and he has no trade value. So there's nothing to talk about.
In all likelihood, I'm wrong on that. I think Phil's right.
You are wrong on that. He only missed the first game, and they played 35 straight. He scored 3 goals against the Sharks and the Ducks, playing on the third line. Then they elevated him to the first line, and he had 3 goals in 33 games this year playing with Barzal.
Phil spends no time with his children, I can tell, because he has micromanaged all of these Islander stats. That's what he does. He sits in his basement, and he just goes over these things over and over.
I know. I just remember it.
I know. See, the
power play. How many power play opportunities did he get?
I don't. I think early on he got some power play opportunities, but he came off of that.
There were times where he wasn't playing the power play at all.
Yeah, it's true. That he should always play on the power play. Always.
He should always play on the power play.
Always.
But he doesn't. Again, that's lame. That's lame.
That's
Lambert
coaching, and that's a coaching decision I don't understand.
No one understands it. No one understands what the hell Lane does half the time, to be honest.
I mean, the guy is a power play guy. The guy.
Listen,
here's the thing:
you had a workable first line with Cizikas with Barzal, and they broke it up for no apparent reason. Every single person that they've tried with Barzal since then has been significantly less effective.
Unless they didn't want to burn, like you mentioned earlier.
So call up Andriov. I don't care. Call up a different center. Who cares? It's again, the point is put your best players in the best position to utilize their skills and be effective. Matt Barzal had his hottest streak of the year, 4 games in a row with a goal, whatever. All those games he played with Cizikas. Every game he played with Cizikas, he had a goal.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Phil. Why are you
so
so hot
if the issue
collar?
is I don't
Why
want
are
to
you
burn
so hot under the collar, Phil? I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Right. So again, that's coaching. Idiotic.
I'm agreeing with you.
These are the same dumb
Barry
coaches.
did the same shit.
Barry
Did the same stuff.
Barry like 15 years worth of rope on that, but a guy who's a first.
I will give the guy who manages to get us to the playoffs every year, but won all the rope in the world on that. Yeah, sure. I'll give him more rope than this guy. It's just one of those decisions where it was like, oh, everyone's watching. Oh, this looks pretty good actually. This seems okay. Fine. So you don't want to burn Ratu's ELC. Fine. So you could either call up Andriov, who's got he's got 20 goals in the AHL this year. Okay, he's going to give you more in 7 minutes than whatever the hell they're doing with Dufour tonight, right? Have Dufour even seen the ice in this third period? No.
He was
so who cares? He was benched.
No, what I'm saying is, you're asking somebody to play a fourth line role, in essence, with limited minutes.
Who?
So if you move Cizikas to the first line, you're just asking your center to come in and play a fourth line.
I'm asking Andriov to play 8 minutes instead of Dufour playing 4 minutes. Yeah.
Right. Now, because Andriov can play center.
He can. He is a center.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying that works. And I'm agreeing. Again, Phil, I'm agreeing with you. I don't know why you're so combative today.
Because
I don't understand. I'm here agreeing with you.
This is option that's underneath the surface, Grumpy, that's going to re-emerge.
He's arguing with me when I'm agreeing with him. I don't understand that.
He knows no adoption making 10 million is on the way, Grumpy, but I'm sorry.
It's not on the way. No, but go ahead. No, again, that's just one of those things where I think that's Lane has kind of sabotaged something that he cooked up that worked, right? Because we were just talking about this in the context of Wahlstrom on the power play and how that's a coaching decision, and he got 0 power play one time at all, right? This struggles started when Wahlstrom was still healthy, I think. Maybe it started right around when he got injured. But again, he at no point was utilized in the power play one. And we've seen situations, again, I'll give you another good one, right? 4-on-4, you're up 3-1 against Washington. 2 minutes to start a 4-on-4 situation. We have last change. Laviolette puts out Wilson and Backstrom. Who should you put out for a D-zone draw against Wilson and Backstrom?
Who went out for us on that?
Okay, but who should you? You're the coach. Who am I putting out here? Which 2 forwards am I putting out against Wilson and Backstrom?
Matt Barzal and Josh Bailey.
What?
You're not putting out Matt Barzal.
2 awful face of.
Who are you putting out? Seriously. Pajot was in the room. He's dealing with whatever.
I'm putting out Nelson.
He put out Nelson. Horrible mistake.
Or
as soon as he put out Nelson and Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey.
Yeah, Josh Bailey.
Yeah.
He put out Nelson and Bailey. To me, you put out Cizikas and Clutterbuck, you get possession, and then you change on the fly there. What do you need Nelson and Bailey in a D-zone situation versus Wilson and Backstrom in a 4-4 when you have a 3-1 lead? To me, it was obvious. As soon as I saw, I'm like, oh shit. And then the moment you saw Nelson fall.
Oh yeah, what's up with
the falling? He was done. The play was over. And then he left Wilson wide open. Maybe you make that save. Whatever. It doesn't even matter. You shouldn't be giving out that kind of
That was a nice shot. That's a nice shot.
It was a nice shot.
I mean, from where he was, man, that's a beautiful shot. From where he was, how close he was to Sorokin to get that.
He was high danger scoring area.
Nice shot.
The first goal was ugh. You have to have that. You can't leave that rebound like
that. Bailey's. I forgot who was out there, but for me, I have no problem putting Cizikas and Nelson out there.
You could do that too. Let Cizikas take the draw. He's a much better face-off guy. Again, you got to be aware of who you're playing against, and you've got the last change here. You've got the matchup. Like, to me, like, oh my, what the hell are we doing here?
Now Buffalo's been on a bit of a slide.
They've been on a slide. Yeah, you got to beat Buffalo. I mean, there's no.
What if they lose to Buffalo tomorrow night?
Oh, then blow the whole thing up earlier. Then that makes it easier, right?
I think we're already at that point. Holy shit. Oh my God.
Oh, did we just give up another goal?
No comment.
Oh no.
No comment.
Good gracious.
I watch a guy fall down, gets up, skates through the whole team, and pots a goal. Falls down.
Oh, good Lord.
Holy shit.
Frederick.
Hey, nice job, Pulak. Fucking covering.
That was awful. Right in the slot.
What the fuck is Mayfield doing, by the way? Mayfield doesn't have to try to lay on the ground to try to stop the pass. The freaking puck's in the corner. What do you think is going to happen here?
Go right.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know what Mayfield's doing there either.
What the fuck is that about? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a perfectly placed shot right there by Frederick.
Too. Yeah.
He fell down. I'm like, he falls down. He gets up. We're all standing still. This kid falls down, gets up, and skates past everybody. Come on.
God almighty. Yeah, we're not competing
We're not beating anyone. We're not beating anyone.
I just shut the game off. There's nothing to watch here.
No.
Torturous.
Yeah, we're not.
Pittsburgh lost in OT to Ottawa. Their slide continues.
That's still a point.
An overtime point, though.
That's an overtime point, yeah. But they only have 3 wins in their last 12 games now.
Yikes.
And they're still ahead of us.
They are still ahead of us. They are by a point with 2 games in hand.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're either going to start ripping off wins against, Buffalo. They're not beating Carolina, but, they've got a couple winnable games next week heading into the All-Star break. And then you got, again, we talked about it, a February schedule where you got to win 6 out of your first 8 games.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what has to happen.
I'm
not saying what is happening. I'm just saying that outside of that happening, you have to be selling everything.
If you're Lou Lamoriello,
yeah,
you watch this product like we do night after night.
Oh, this was a terrible product tonight after the first period. The first period was great.
I thought he played really well the first period. But do you not realistically? I mean, we bag on him for being old and just looking old now. He knows.
Of course he knows.
Isn't good enough. Why would you double down on a team that is nowhere near good enough? I mean, nowhere near good enough to do anything in the maybe if you trade all your draft picks for the next 3 years and all your young players to load up on a Patrick Kane or a Jonathan Taves.
No, not Patrick Kane. Not Patrick Kane.
I'm just throwing names out there.
I know. I get it.
I know. What I'm saying is, why would you try to double down on this group of players that you just changed the coach?
Yeah.
Because they weren't listening to the guy who's a better coach.
Right.
Why would you double down on those players? I can't imagine. For me, it's mind-boggling.
Safe to assume the run it back crew is kind of eating the words right now, right?
I don't know.
Listen, I don't know that there was ever a large majority of people who were in the let's run back the same exact 14 forwards. I certainly was not one of them.
There are a lot of people saying run it back.
I mean, listen, there were certain people who I said, like, okay, yeah, I mean, some of this is crazy talk. Like, you can't get rid of 7 players, but I thought, again, it would have cost a lot to get rid of Josh Bailey. At the very least, I was fine just waiving him, save $1.125 million and bury him in the minors. And that's the end of Josh Bailey for now. Listen, what Lou looked at the roster and said, okay, our defense was crap last year. All right. So instead of Char and Green, what are we going to have? We're going to have Romanov, and I'm going to let Aho and Salo duke it out. Okay. Theoretically speaking, not a bad plan because the other 4 players were totally fine. You just need to replace 2 of them. And I think for the most part, that's been, I haven't had a problem with it from a process standpoint. The results haven't been great. From a process standpoint, that was fine. Then you get to the forward group, and he basically decided, all right, we had a whole bunch of forwards who had absolutely shit starts to the year. I'm guessing that that's just not going to be the case this year. And in some instances, he was right, but in a couple of very critical instances, he was very, very wrong, right? He was right about Pajot. He was right about Parise. For the start of the season, until he started getting concussions every game, he was right about Palmieri. Palmieri was scoring big goals for them. He was very, very wrong about Beauvillier and Bailey. Go ahead. Unload on Palmieri. Give it.
He was very wrong about Devon Tate. He's been very wrong about about a 50-50 chance about being right and wrong. That's why I never get why this guy's glorified, because of 3 cups he won freaking 2 decades ago. This guy's so glorified as his
I would not have carried Bailey on this team. I would have just buried him in the minors. And then, if he wants to retire, go right ahead.
Could we bury him a hole in the backyard?
Otherwise, you're riding the bus. I don't care. You cannot have 2 top 6 spots occupied by Bailey and Beauvillier at this point. It doesn't work.
And Lee.
No, you could have Lee as one of them.
No,
you could have
he's 100%. He's been abominable this year.
I'm sorry. You could have him as long as you have someone who's able to generate scoring chances for them, which like Beauvillier is able to do once every 10 games. As long as you have a playmaker on that line, it could work. It could work. You can't have Bowen Bailey, though.
To me,
and to be honest, Beauvillier should not be this bad. It's inexplicable how he just became so awful.
I think he's done being here. I think he wants to go too. He's checked out. He's like,
he's checked out 100%.
I don't. Here's the thing. He needs just happens sometimes. He needs a fresh start. I'm not saying he will never be, maybe a successful 3rd liner in the NHL. Maybe he is, but he's not going to be it here. It's that simple. And, we talked about this beforehand, right? This is why I wanted an NHL head coach who has experience in the playoffs, who's been a head coach before. We knew this was a risk. You were going to have a guy who is an unknown quantity. It's his first time being a head coach. He's going to have deficiencies. Things at the beginning of the year. Whoa, we're riding high. This is so great. Lane Lambert for president. Things are going so well. I knew there was going to be moments where there's going to be things we didn't know that he was going to have issues with that were going to rear their head. They're rearing their head. This is a guy who had familiarity with the room. We weighed the option and said the familiarity with the room is better than bringing Mr. Outside higher in and hoping that he's going to be able to corral and get the troops headed in the right direction. I don't think he's fantastic. He's not going to be a Hall of Fame caliber head coach like the last guy we had. I think the team bought into what he was saying early on, but I think this is an older team that doesn't have the legs to continue to do what they're doing on a night in, night out basis anymore.
I don't think age has anything to do with it.
How do we come out every first period and we come out flying, and in the second and third periods we look lackluster? It's not just
it's the opposite. It was the opposite. First periods we came out flat up until like 4 games ago.
At the beginning of the year we did that. Yeah.
Up until that 4 games ago, it was always the second, third period. Inexplicable, but I mean, they're not. If you look at them in terms of like who's getting the lion's share of the ice time, it's not an exceedingly old team by any stretch. They're younger than most of these teams that they're going up against.
Our forward group is what is the issue. It's the forward group. It's always the forward. I'm not concerned with the defense and goal. It's the forward group.
And here's
the top 9.
Here's the thing.
In the top 9, the only person who I would say is like, other than Lee, but Lee's always been that way. Lee's always been. He's not any less mobile than he's always been. It's Bailey, right? Barzal's fine. Beauvillier's fine. Nelson, he's skating the way he's always skated. Age is not.
I think his skating has gone downhill as well.
I don't think so. I don't think age is not an inhibiting factor with Brock Nelson.
True.
Age is not an inhibiting factor this year with Pajot. Age is not an inhibiting factor this year with Parise. It's just not.
You think age is an inhibiting factor with
Martin,
Mary, who's now spending more time in IR?
They're not the same guys.
Okay. Two knocks to the head has nothing to do with his age. Okay.
Were they both concussions? Both ruled concussions there for Palmieri?
Well, they were both hits to the head. I mean, they don't reveal what they are. But if you saw the thing with Riley, he nearly took his head off.
He sucked before he got hit in the head. Who are you kidding?
He was doing great.
And his
6 goals in 19 games. What's wrong with that?
I got some questions for you. You two and you, TJ.
He was on pace for 25 goals, almost all of them even strength.
He was never going to hit 25 goals. Never
in a freaking million
years. He's done.
He was going to hit 25. He might have even hit 30 this year.
He might even hit 30.
He was feeling it.
What's he going to hit? 10?
I don't even know what he's going to. I mean, it's a double concussion at this point.
It's
100% a concussion.
His nickname is F- for a reason, Phil. He doesn't produce. He's a failure.
But again, he's not concussed because he's 31. He's concussed because Morgan Riley ran his head over and because Nick Ritchie hit him up high.
He wasn't quick enough to get out of the way. That's what the problem is, Phil. You know that, and I know it. Now let's get to some really important things.
Pellick's concussed also because he's 28. At 28 years old, that's why he's concussed.
You've been a big proponent of Simon, a.k.a. Casper Holmstrom.
Pre-injury, he was one of their best forwards.
Oh, my God.
One of their best.
The Swedish Wall, Grumpy.
The Swedish Wall. He's still their best defensive forward.
No.
Blows. Phil, he is Bailey 2.0.
I love him.
He's not even as good as Bailey.
He's great. Listen, all the guys who have come back from injury have looked like garbage, including Barzal. Barzal has looked
I think Barzal is still hurt.
He's very hurt.
I think he's still hurt.
How many giveaways did he have tonight?
It's not the giveaway.
No. But listen, going into this game, he had 36 giveaways all season. You know how many he had in the past 4 games entering tonight?
Don't know. A lot. He's turned
11. 11 of those 36.
He's hurt. You can tell he's hurt.
He's very hurt.
Here's the thing.
He shouldn't be playing. He's not helping them.
Boston knows how to play him.
Boston knowing how to play him. He's not. He doesn't have the same burst that he's had.
No, I'm just saying Boston knows how to play him, but that does not minimize. I think we mentioned on our last show. I think he's still hurt. I think it's so obvious he's hurt. His skating is nowhere near what it was before the injury, and I just think they can't afford to sit him.
No, they should sit him,
but they can't.
But he's not helping them. He has 0 points in 5 games, and he's doing nothing.
Who would you put in?
I don't care. Why risk further injury? It's again, if he cannot play at the level that you need him to play, then he's not helping.
If you go ahead and accept that, then you're saying I'm accepting the fact that this team has failed. I, by in turn, as general manager and head coach, take a big old fat L this year. I am the last year of my contract, will not be getting another general managership job again. And I, as a first-time head coach, will be probably without a job as a new general manager comes in. And
that has nothing to do with not playing a guy who can't play.
Hey, it's just like in football.
We need to win. Listen, you need to win by playing players who can play to their ability, and right now he just can't.
Okay, is 70% Matt Barzal better than 100% Andy Andorov?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably. But
that's why they do it.
But you need it. But again, you need him to get back to a point where he's going to be effective, and he's not going to do that by playing through whatever he's playing through.
They're hoping the All-Star break, I guess.
Probably, yes.
Get to the All-Star break.
100%.
Get enough points, get to the All-Star break, get yourself a week off, be back ready, hopefully a little bit better shape.
I would start that All-Star break hiatus a week early. I would give him a full 2.5 weeks. I would do it after the Carolina game. I would just sit him. If he puts up nothing in Buffalo and nothing in Carolina and goes on a 7-game pointless streak, who's he helping?
When we lose those next 2 games, Phil, what are you going to say about us then?
Same thing I'm saying now. Sell off Mayfield, sell off Varlamov, sell off Parise, and go from there.
Do you think?
And I'm open to the Brock Nelson idea.
Yeah, I'm
not saying it needs to be for Newhook, but you need to identify a team that has that need down the middle. Boston is a team like that because they're not going to need it this year; they're going to need it next year. when they don't have Bergeron and Krejci anymore. The problem is Boston has nothing of value to give us.
That's right. I was just going to say that
they have the worst farm system, and they have no picks. They traded their picks away.
Yeah,
They're going to give us what, a 2024 first round pick? Where we're going to be picking pick 27 in a year from now. So great, you'll have an NHL ready prospect maybe in 2027.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not interested in that. Boston's not a good trade partner. Colorado's a good trade partner because they got a couple young guys. Newhook's interesting, and they can add to that. I'm trying to think. There was another team that I identified that also needed a second line center.
You should get your ass coming here prepared for this podcast.
I should. No, you're right. I should.
I'm disappointed.
Colorado made the most sense. Colorado, again, they're
in Buffalo.
No, I don't think.
No, Buffalo does. They're not going to care for that.
Not for Nelson. Not for Nelson.
I mean, for Varlamov,
I think
guys like that.
No, Varlamov makes the most sense for Pittsburgh. No one makes more sense for Varlamov than Pittsburgh. Buffalo is not going to trade for him if they're not necessarily going to make the playoffs.
I think Buffalo, with the glut of young prospects they've got on their team, there's only so much space you can have to put these guys in.
No, but again, their defense sucks, though. Their defense is
Mayfield's a big step in the right direction, right?
See, here was my mindset.
No. They're not the right trade partner. Pittsburgh, I think you can get the most from, because I think they'll learn from the mistakes of their past few years where they've had injured goaltenders, right? Against us, if DeSmith was healthy, they would have pulled Jari after game 3, and DeSmith would have rode it out with us, similar to what they did with, you remember, Thomas Vokoun came in for Marc-Andre Fleury back in 2013?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Would have been the same thing. And DeSmith probably would have been fine, right? Game 1 against the Rangers, DeSmith was fantastic.
Thomas Vokoun, man, he was good for a while.
That's a throwback now.
He was, right?
Hey,
the second DeSmith went out, right? So you have Jari out, who had a very good regular season last year, mind you, and he's having a really good regular season this year. And now he's injured again, right? And then DeSmith, all of a sudden, he blew a hip in or something like that in game 1 against the Rangers, and then you had the Muffin Man, and that was it. They're going to get wise to that. They're going to give something away to buy insurance. Whether or not Varlamov plays in the playoffs for them is irrelevant. I think they need to have him, though.
Okay. My thought process was Buffalo as a team that they're obviously on the come, right? Let's be honest. I could see them.
The next year, like next year, 2 years from now, for sure. 100%.
I thought, where I don't think we should trade a draft pick at any young futures or anything at this stage of where we're at. I think Buffalo can afford that. And I was saying maybe you have a package deal. What do they need? A Mayfield on defense and a Varlamov in goal.
Okay, but if Mayfield's not signing back in Buffalo, what's the point?
Well, like I said,
why would Mayfield not be prone to sign back in Buffalo if they?
I just don't know if he would. A lot of players don't like playing there. He's from the Midwest. Taking a guy from the Midwest and you're going to put him in shitty Buffalo. It's not like so simple. They were very intentional with that Eichel trade package to get Tuck.
Well, Mayfield said it on the interview himself. He says, "Oh, I love the atmosphere, the community. We've become ingrained in the community."
Yeah, but Long Island's a lot nicer than Buffalo.
What I'm saying, it's the country club mentality that we've got here. I don't think we're going to be able to pay him. I feel like if he wants to get paid, he can get himself $4.5–5 million a year because he's earned.
I think the high end would be about $4 million. Yeah,
4.5, sure, 4.5, 5 million.
Sure.
Teams are willing to overpay.
There's no way we should re-sign him.
No, you should trade him. You should 100% trade him.
Yes.
Yep. 100%.
I want to get to some comments here too. I've starred them, so we're not going to go through every comment. So we're going to.
Well, just one more. Oh, okay, go ahead.
I
forgot my comment. No, we talked about. Do you think Lamoriello's GM next year, Phil?
Good question.
It's impossible to answer that. I think yes. I do. I
see,
do.
Grumpy.
Only because I think the owners are such schmucks, and they also don't care. I don't think the ownership cares.
The Property Brothers. He's on board. He's on board that they are the Property Brothers.
I told you this at the beginning of the summer that I don't think these guys give a fuck. Sorry to the audience.
You heard that right there, Malcolm Ledecky. PhilzFacts says you don't give an F.
I don't think they do. I don't think they cared. And I said on that, we did that. We recorded on the first day of free agency. And I said, listen, the blame for the most part is with ownership, right? You have to get your GM into the room before free agency starts and kind of ask him, hey, what's the game plan here? And if the game plan is, oh yeah, we're just going to sit and do nothing, we're going to make a trade. and then we're going to do nothing for the rest of the summer other than sign a couple of, rinky dinks like Hudson Fatching, who I like. I love Fatching, and Dennis Cholowski, and that's the plan. And if ownership's like, okay, last year we were a pretty bad team. We had 84 points. We sat outside. Yeah, that sounds like a good, yeah, sure, 100%. Like, that's an ownership thing to me at that point, right? And if they're stamping and sealing that, and then they're having comments to whomever asked the question about, oh yeah, well, we have to be hands off because lose the GM, and this is like, yeah, I'm more inclined to say that Ledecky and Malkin are stupid enough to continue on the current course than find someone new, which doesn't mean that finding someone new is any better. It might be worse. I got excited when I started reading from Stefan Rosner that Neil Smith was in the building because I love Neil Smith.
Yeah, but I mean, gosh,
he's not a GM. He works for UBS.
Yeah, he hasn't been in the game for a long time.
I know. I was so happy when they made him GM back in 2006
for 40 days.
For 40,
yeah, more done in 40 days.
Before the dark times.
40 days, and he just quit. It's like, nope, can't do this.
He accomplished more in those 40 days than the average GM accomplishes in 4 years, though.
What's worst case scenario for the next
6 weeks?
Before you give that, Grumpy, I want you to give, because I know you don't want to shift around too much. I want you to give what your thought is, worst case scenario regarding Lou Lamoriello in the general managership position. Grumpy.
Well, I was going to let Phil answer that because I have a worst case scenario.
Okay.
I mean, it's like nuclear option on the Islanders, as far as I'm concerned. You want the franchise to sink into the abyss. I have the way to do it.
Okay, so we'll have to know to avoid Grumpy's plan, but I'm sorry, Grumpy. I'll let you ask your question to Phil.
The worst thing that they can do?
Yes, in the next 6-8 weeks into the offseason.
The worst thing they could do is trade a first-round pick for Adam Henrique.
Are they serious about thinking about Adam Henrique? Is that serious?
I just try to think like Lou. And I try to think, okay, who's the guy who would target? Oh, Adam Henrique makes sense.
Ex-Devil.
Is he 38? Isn't he 38?
No, he's 32. He's having a great year.
38.
Henrique's been fantastic. Listen, Henrique's a very good player. If they were an Adam Henrique away from being a Stanley Cup contender, I'd be 100% happy to add Adam Henrique. But they're not an Adam Henrique away. Okay. This was a very interesting stat about Henrique this year. This is just while we're on the subject. Where was this?
25 points this year.
The stat I thought was crazy. Here it is. The Ducks outscore their opponents in 560 minutes with Henrique on the ice. They outscore their opponents 26-24. Okay, with him. Without him, they are outscored 102-40. They are a -62 without him and a +2 with him. He's very good. He's very, very good. But we're not an Adam Henrique away from being Cup contender.
No. That's a guy who's going to get. That's a guy who will get traded. Some team's going to give up an arm and a leg for him.
I don't think an arm and a leg. Only again, it depends. If the Ducks retain half the salary, then yes, because he's got one more year after this. If he was a rental and then doing half retained, you could probably get a first-round pick for him. But the problem is he has another year at $6 million after this, which a lot of teams can't necessarily plan for. And then asking the Ducks to retain an additional year at 50% also costs a lot. So my thought was, again, like 4 weeks ago when I was looking at the Islanders, okay, listen, I think they really need two pieces here. And one kind of trade would be to go out and get, let's call it Bo Horvat. Okay. Right. And you pair Horvat with Barzal on the top line, Horvat, Barzal, Cizikas, or whoever you want to put on the left.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
I was going to ask you about that earlier, but then I forgot.
It doesn't even matter at that point. And then a second line, if you can figure out a creative way to sell the Ducks on like, all right, we're going to give you Bailey, who has a cheap cash hit. His cash is like significantly lower than Henrique. We give you Bailey and like a second round pick for Henrique. If your deadline consists of I'm getting Horvat, I'm getting Henrique, and now I'm going to go for it, I could have gotten on board with that. At this point, it doesn't make any sense because of where they are in the standings. Because even if they make those trades at the point where the trade market opens up, there's still no guarantee that they're going to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
So at that point, It's like, all right, let me wait for the summer for Horvat, like you're saying. And if I want to go out and get Henrique this summer, well, you're probably not going to get him because if the Ducks had held on to him, they're going to sell him at the next deadline. But my worst case scenario is Lou does something stupid and trades way too much for Henrique, thinking that right now all we need is Henrique and we'll be fine, which is not the case.
For me, worst case scenario, Islanders are irrelevant within 2 years. Is they let Lamoriello sell this year's first and next year's first in some lame, desperate attempt to make the playoffs. Then he steps aside and he handpicks Fredo to be the general manager. That's the end of the franchise as far as I'm concerned.
That worse than when Wong took over, Grumpy? Would that be worse? Darker times?
You forget when Charles Wong came in, he saved the team.
Well, I know that.
He saved the team. They were not going to be on Long Island. He saved the team. People forget that.
Okay, but I mean, like you're talking about the dark times. I mean, that would be
pretty dark, without a doubt.
I firmly believe I made that prediction last year on the trade deadline. We are trading away 2022, 2023 first and second round picks plus to double down on this team that's past their window. I feel like that's worst case scenario. We add, and not only do we add, we don't make the playoffs on top of it. And could you imagine? I don't Chris Lamoriello. God almighty, Chris Lamoriello. The best case scenario for
Fredo.
us.
You know what we did, Phil? We went through Fredo's job history.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
Daddy has gotten him every job he's ever had.
Except the Islanders at Bridgeport.
He got him that job. He
No.
got him that job. Please, he did.
You think so?
Absolutely.
He went in and pulled some strings.
Every job. Thank God Daddy's alive. It's the only reason Fredo's employed.
He first was employed by the Devils as a scout. And then he worked his way up there to
Who was GM of the Devils? Who was GM of the Devils that time?
Conveniently, Lou was the general manager.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Fresh out of college. Hey, you're a scout for us here. Come on, Chris.
Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good gig right out of college. Becomes NHL scout. Wonder how that works. Okay. What's his next change of job?
I don't have it pulled up right now, but it was long story short.
Didn't somehow, through his sheer talent with the Devils, get promoted to VP of hockey operations?
He did.
How the hell did that happen?
VP, I believe, of the Albany Devils. Let me pull this all up. But yeah,
I like looking at the natural stat card after the game sometimes just to see if it like matches what we saw. Right? Like who would you think had the highest positive impacts of this game in terms of forwards?
For us?
Yeah.
Tough to say.
I wasn't really following the game. I just kind of back.
Yeah, I mean the guys who are in like plus territory: Parise, Beauvillier, Pajot, Clutterbuck, Zizekas, Martin. And then on defense, you got Aho, you got Romanov, and you've got that's it. The rest of the defense was caved in. And then the worst players were Cholowski, Dufour, Bailey, and Barzal.
Yeah, Barzal gets a pass for me though.
100%.
It's so obvious that he's hurt. So obvious he's hurt. And they don't have any. The only reason he's playing, they have no one else. They figure Matt Barzal at 75% is better than anybody else at 100%. That's why they do it. Teams do it all the time. They don't care.
No, they do. They do.
JG says here, I was listening to one of your competitors' podcasts, the Nassau Men, and they've finally come to the realization that this team is simply not good enough. I thought I was listening to you guys.
They all come around to my way of thinking eventually, every single one.
And they brought up all the same talking points that you guys have been talking about for forever now, says JG.
You know what, Phil? I am the curve. We are the curve here.
I figure you get a cheap pop there. Mikey D. Grumpy.
Can't wait to watch the Devils and the Rangers fight for Meyer soon. I saw Phil today on Twitter with help from a Ranger fan trying to tell both fan bases that he's being undervalued based on their mock offers.
Yeah, I saw this Ranger fan's like, oh yeah, we'll give up Zach Jones and a first-round pick for Timo Meier. I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind? He's like, well, Zach Jones. I'm like, when you're losing your roster spot to Libor Hayek and Ben Harper, I'm like, everyone has a 5'10" Zach Jones on their AHL team. We have him too. His name is Robin Salo. Those players don't have very much trade value.
Well, Robin Salo's better he's taller than 5'10".
He's 6'2", right? I get it.
Don't undersell him now. Come on.
You're proposing that the Rangers give a late 20s pick and an AHL defenseman for a top 20 winger who's 26 and under team control. Are you out of your mind?
every fan base thinks that's what they think. They think it's fantasy. Oh, I'll give you this 7th round pick for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and then this fan counters. They're like, "Well, I mean, look at the DeBrincat trade. That was a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd." I'm like, buddy,
Right.
I'm like, that 1st was 7th overall. That 2nd round pick is going to be much closer in terms of comparable player to the 1st round pick the Rangers would give up.
Yeah.
Like, to trade up from pick 29 to pick 7, you need to spend like 3 first round picks to do that. Like, that's a significant trade to move up like that. So I'm like, if you're saying, comparing it to the Ottawa package, it's like 2 first round picks and a top prospect.
Yeah, I see. For us, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
Where we are as a team, it just doesn't make sense to give up that type of draft capital.
Sorry, Red Lupin, Power Rangers, CJ, Timo Meyer, not in the cards.
And I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't trade for Horvat, but I'd go all out to sign him in free agency. I think there's a way you can really turn this franchise around in the short term. It really is. It would have to be creative. You wouldn't have to be able to shed a little bit of blood, but like I said, I like your Nelson idea. I didn't know if we'd be able to get an Alex Newhook, but if not a Newhook, he's 2 first round picks.
He should be.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean,
Colorado would be the perfect destination for Nelson, mutually speaking.
Yeah,
they need that second center, or they're not going to go very far.
Right, and I like the Newhook. I like him. I think he's good.
He could be good. I hope so. Again, you want to think along the Zibanejad Brassard lines, right? Listen, if Ottawa wins Game 7 against Pittsburgh and they win the Stanley Cup that year, you think anyone ever cares about the fact that they gave up Mika Zibanejad?
Nope.
No, it would be remembered in the same way as the O'Reilly trade with Tage Thompson. No one is ever going to say that that was a bad trade for the Blues.
Right.
It just so happens to be for Ottawa, it didn't work. They didn't win Game 7. They didn't win the Cup. They look like assholes because Zibanejad's a great player. Happens. So you hope you can identify someone like that.
And I don't think we have to worry about Brock Nelson turning into a superstar anywhere else he goes.
He's at the prime. He's reached the pinnacle of his career.
Yeah.
Joseph C says, TJ's going to blame Phil for being late. So much for New Year's resolutions lasting. I was on time today, Joseph. Chubby Cheese says he thought Cholowski looked like he has good hands.
He does. He just can't defend.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate part about it. JG Grumpy.
I don't get this team. If they could play consistently like they are right now against Boston, he's talking about the first period, they would have a much better record. Solid first period. Yeah.
He's
but
right.
Guess what? They don't. And here's the reason. That's right. I wanted to bring that up. You said, all year they were playing, like an older gentleman who's got to pace himself a little bit. And then bang, he shoots his load in the second or third period, because so he's really sucks in the first period. And then the last couple of games, the last 4 games, we've been like an 18-year-old, bang, done. And then they're done for the rest of the game. So that's kind of how the team is. They cannot produce for the full time professionally. So it's either we really got to pace ourselves and the lady falls asleep until then you got to finish all by yourself, or they come out like a jackrabbit and got nothing left on the back end. And the lady's unhappy both ways.
He's had too much whiskey one night, or he just hasn't touched a lady in a long time, Grumpy, for those unaffiliated.
There you go.
Oh, man. But, we have struggled. We haven't had consistency. Do you put that more on coaching staff, or do you put that more on the players? Now, here's the thing. Grumpy and I used to, I would say, blame Trotz for that, the inconsistent play from period to period. And we've talked about this before. For whatever it's worth, we were probably wrong on that one. It's more onus is on the player than the coach to make sure that they're properly motivated, because the players now have done this with 2 different head coaches to where consistency or lack of consistency seems to be a problem.
I think it's both. I think there's, listen, Tortorella benched Kevin Hayes. Okay. He's benched Ristolainen. He's benched veteran players. He benched Kevin Hayes for Kiefer Bellows. Okay, that's who he benched him for. Right?
Good move.
So, great move. They're 5 points behind us with an awful team. But that is what a really great coach can do for you sometimes. He's not going to tolerate nonsense. Doesn't matter who you are. And again, you don't have to love Tortorella, and maybe you think Tortorella wasn't. But the bottom line is, if we had Tortorella coaching this team, would we not be 3-4 wins ahead of where we are? 100% we would be.
Well, here's the thing. He's got such a short shelf life. He lasts for like a half a season or a year.
Okay, that again, notwithstanding that, Gerard Gallant, you could say the same thing about, right? I mean, turns out the best guy who the best coaching hire of the summer was Jim Montgomery, right? My goodness, this Boston team is generational. And then the second best, remind me of the fellow who went to Winnipeg. He coached us before. He coached us in the 90s.
It's not.
He looks like Regis Philbin from Dallas. TJ knows I'm right. I'll tell you.
Not Rick Bowness.
Bonus. Yeah, Bonus.
Yes.
Okay.
They're the top. They're the top team in the West, Winnipeg.
I didn't realize Rick Bonus was coaching there.
Yeah.
I thought he was okay.
Right.
You got him and that lady who was well endowed standing in Dallas.
That was in Dallas.
Remember that meme, Grumpy? Yeah.
He was good in Dallas, though.
Matter of fact, I do remember that meme, and I actually saw the picture a couple of weeks. I'm like, oh yeah.
Even what's his name? Even that's who I thought they were going to go with. What's his name? The guy who's in Dallas now, because he worked for Lou before.
Are you talking about
the Vegas coach, DeBoer?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He's doing a fantastic job. I mean, they didn't have much roster turnover and change, and they were a bubble team last year. They just got in with the 7 seed, I want to say. It came down to the wire between them and Nashville and one other team, and they just managed to scrape in. Fantastic work.
And Ottinger's been great in goal for them.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like Ottinger's so frustrating because there were so many saves he made against we outplayed Dallas that game, but there's so many saves he made where he's just not moving. He's just so goddamn big. And he just doesn't need to move.
I tell you what, he was really good in the playoffs last year too.
Insane. That was his coming out party. He's going to be really good, that kid.
He's really good. And that's good goalies. I tell you, it makes an average team good.
But they're not an average team. They're scoring a lot this year. They weren't scoring last year. This year they are.
I mean, isn't Jason Robertson the most unknown,
underrated
player in the league?
What a superstar.
Yeah.
And Pavelski, I mean, my God. What he's doing at age 38.
He's always been good, though.
He shouldn't be this good at 38, though. It's crazy.
He's better than Zach Parise.
Oh, he's crazy good. He's like in that Bergeron tier where they just don't get bad.
Do you want to know
this year? He's got 44 points in 45 games. I mean, how insane is that?
And he's got a hell of a shot. Do you want to know what Zach Parise's nickname around here is?
38 special.
That's right, 38 special.
So he watches the show.
38.
Huh?
By the way, when he scores goal number 20 this year, what are you guys sending me?
I don't know. What do you think it's going to be like December when he's going to score that goal?
Ooh.
It's like 20 goals in a calendar year. So
when he scores goal 25 in April, you're going to have me back on the show, and I'm just going to say, I told you so. I told you so. I told everyone. I've been saving receipts like all these people. Oh, he's washed. He's cooking. I'm like, you have no idea. You haven't watched a Wild game in like 7 years. All these people. He's objectively not washed.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
He might score those goals, but like with most of his teams, whenever he's producing, they're 10, 12, 15 points out of the playoff hunt. That's Zach Parise in a nutshell.
Those Devils teams were good.
He's a freaking loser from the Devils. He's 38 special. You get,
Parise's great.
And here's the thing. I admit I was wrong on him last year. I thought they should have been certainly more upgraded with him. He's not been the problem, though. He's fine. And I would not give him another raise. Let's see, Lamoureux will give him a raise to $3.5 million a year.
No, he doesn't care for a raise. He's not here for the money. It's like Giordano in Toronto. They're just there because they're trying to finish their career doing something. Well, I don't think he's going to come back because I think after 1 year you could chalk up to a dud. The second year, he's gonna like look around the room and be like, oh, I don't know about these guys. Let me call Brisebois in Tampa and see if he's got a space for me. Let me call Sakic in Colorado and see if I could play with my buddy Brock Nelson, who's going to be traded out there.
There you go.
My fellow Minnesotan.
Oh,
yeah.
Send them both package deal. We'll give them Nelson and Parise for Newhook and 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Done.
Why not?
Yeah, we just made a deal. Just call Joe.
Make it happen.
100%.
Why not? That call should have been made already.
Now, this was something that Phil, I think, made a tweet about too. JG said the Nassau men guys said it was partially Pajot's fault. Yes, or I guess 2 days ago for the loss. They said that he should have braced himself for the hit.
This is the stupidest comment. I mean, He braced himself. It's just the
bigger guy hit a smaller guy, period.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what it was. And then his head went into the glass.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought he was concussed. I thought he was concussed.
You know
I'm shocked that he wasn't. The way he's so spaghetti-legged.
Have you noticed the Islanders as a team starting to dive a little bit more?
Yes.
Flop a little bit more.
Okay, but that's not what Pajot was doing. He legitimately couldn't stand.
Yeah. Okay, he came right up for the third period. He's fine.
Well, here's the thing. I
played
thought
the rest of the game. Played all the big minutes. He's fine.
He didn't play all the big minutes. They collapsed when he went out.
You know what they call that? Acting, Phil. That's what they call it.
Hold on. You thought he was like he was taking the acting role of a baby giraffe when he tries to and his legs.
He was like Brando in Godfather.
He was not acting.
And Waterfront.
He was not acting.
That's what he was like. He was method acting to the absolute
No, he was not. Okay, he was not acting. I thought he was seriously concussed. Probably just passed a concussion test, even though he probably had one.
10 minutes, right back on the ice. He's fine.
Yeah, I thought he was concussed. But hey, what can I say?
But here's what I thought. I thought, okay, they went through a quick diagnostic, and then he's just going to be ruled out for the next game, like tonight. I was shocked he played tonight.
Not me.
My buddy said he thought he
was supporting actor, J.G. Pajot.
Oh, good.
All right, so let's talk about what the team next year looks like. You got a first line, like we said, it's going to be Horvat with Barzal and Cizikas on the top line.
Okay.
Okay, your second line is going to be Ratu in between.
I don't think he's ready to be a number 2.
Okay, fine. So your second line is going to be Pajot in between Wahlstrom and Newhook. Or you can move Pajot to the wing. I don't really care.
Does Newhook still play enough center? Does he still play center for Colorado?
Yeah, he does play center. Yeah. I'll tell you what their lines are. Hold on.
I like Pajot at center, though.
I do. No, he's a very good center.
And I don't like him as a number 2 center.
Yeah, it's that line is Cogliano on the left, O'Connor on the right, and Newhook in the middle.
Yeah.
Newhook has to be on your top 2. He's got to be your top 6 player, though.
So it's Pajot, Newhook on the left wing with, let's just call it Wahlstrom.
Wahlstrom, right?
Wahlstrom.
Okay.
Wahlstrom. Your third line is Ratu, Palmieri, Holmstrom.
Fuck Holmstrom. Yeah, excuse my language there, Phil. Yeah, Holmstrom.
He'll be a great facilitator on that line.
He's useless. He's horrible. You ever watch him, Phil? Okay. I watch these games. I'm like, he's just skating around in circles out in the middle of nowhere. He's not involved in the play. Nobody looks at him.
He's great. I love him.
He's horrible.
He's an analytics darling, but has like 10 shots in 15 games.
He's an analytics darling. The analytics don't lie. Listen, Casper McMichael, what's he doing?
You talking about Connor McMichael?
No, Casper McMichael. I call him Casper McMichael.
Oh no, I got to look up what he's doing so
Phil,
far.
he's not doing much.
You can't take the name. Gosh, man, unfunny people when they try to be funny, it's bad. You realize I call him Casper. You can't take his name and try to turn it into a joke. The same name. If it's a different name,
I know. I'm just doing it to drive you crazy.
Like that. Or Beetlejuice something, he's a ghostly figure. That would work. You can't use the same name I use.
And then
but you can play that banjo music.
I don't even know what that fourth line would be.
TJ, whip up those 2 pictures. Show Phil those 2 pictures.
We've done this already.
We've done that one before. We've done it.
We've done that song and dance, Grumpy. We're not playing the best of the hits from the Islanders Never Said Die podcast, Grumpy. We've got other things to talk about. Connor McMichael has done okay right this season. 23 games played, 14 points in the AHL for the Hershey Bears. I don't know why he's down there.
Very bad.
How many points did Casper have in Bridgeport?
Thank you very much.
5 and 15.
Okay.
5.
That's
5?
it.
He's not there to score 50 points. Let's do
obviously. He had to play 14 years to get 50 points.
Stop it. He's
all right. 20 years.
He's going to be a dependable 2-way forward.
He's not going to be a dependable 2-way forward.
Dude, I love him against the boards. I love him defensively. I love him.
Third line. He's a third line guy. We've talked about this in the.
And I just put him on our third line with Ratu and Palmieri.
Why are we glorifying a third line guy? That's like us glorifying Hudson. Hudson Fasching is probably Simon Holmstrom could dream of being as good as Hudson. I was about to say Simon Holmstrom could dream of being as good as Hudson Fasching.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Fasching is 27.
How did he get put on the first line, Phil?
Who?
How do you bring that failure? Casper Holmstrom up and put him on the first line, not once but twice.
You needed to balance it out.
So, that's right. Spread out the suck. That's what I tell PJ. They like to spread out the suck. That's the way Bailey's up there all the time. Thank you, Phil, for verifying what I knew all
I'll
along.
say this, though. This do-for idea tonight looks like the stupidest thing
Disastrous.
in the world. What a disaster.
I told you earlier today, I said this screams organizational freaking despair and just
this to me
desperation.
To me, I looked at it and I said, okay, they limited Holmstrom in the third period the other night. Hasn't looked good at all since coming back from injury. He's not 100%. Barzal's not 100%. They wanted to get, Dufour has like 12 points in the last 13 games of the AHL, right? We're looking at it, right? We could either plug Ross somewhere in there. Lane hates Ross, by the way. He hates him. Barry loves him. Lane avoids the guy like the plague, and I'll commend Lane for that. But then it was just like, okay, let's look in the AHL. Who are we bringing up? Hey, let's just call up Buddy Dufour. You're going to play tonight. But putting him in a situation against the Bruins, I cannot think of a bigger confidence killer than what they just did to him tonight, giving him a top line response with an injured Barzal, with a healthy Barzal, without Bailey on the other side giving passes to nowhere.
Bailey.
I saw our friend Josh Bailey Sucks clip that one. Where is that one?
Bailey and Holmstrom play on the first line. I cannot fathom it, Phil. Unfathomable.
Maybe that would be good. If I told you going into this season, we'd have Josh Bailey and Simon Holmstrom as the wingers for Matt Barzal, I'm sure we would be screaming up and down about the success we'd have this season.
Here, TJ, I just DM'd it to you.
Hey, Phil, I have a question for you. You know how your name is PhilzFacts? Is that Z because you wanted to be with the Canadian hip hop, community to let them know that you are cool? PhilzFacts. What's the reason for the Z?
I don't know. I just like PhilzFacts. I don't know.
Do you feel that's false advertising? Because I've been listening to you talk, and it's like
this was the most. I mean, I screamed in real time about this one when we were recording earlier. I mean, this is just. I knew he would clip this one. I went to his page right away. I'm like, oh, he's going to clip that pass.
Christ. Yikes. What a soft sharp. I do like that this guy's doing the work of the people. Josh Bailey is very bad. The Twitter page does the work of the people. Look at that.
Was that Bailey?
Yeah, look at that pass.
Oh my God. Bailey, man.
I don't even know. There's nothing to say about this anymore. Jesus. It's sad. It's sad. He used to be a useful NHL player. He is so cooked. If you open the dictionary definition of like cooked athlete, put a photo of Josh Bailey there. That's what it is. People are arguing, what do you mean he had points? I'm like, he plays so many minutes that he just like accidentally, knocks into points because
stumbles into secondary assists on a regular basis.
Forget about that. You have Kerfoot putting the puck in the net, and then you've got the Toronto third string goalie giving him an open net pass because he's just an idiot. Like he just like stumbles into like it's hard not to put up points in the situations that they utilize him in.
How do you? Let me ask you. What do you think about this defense? You're going to see Josh Bailey is right down here at the bottom. Grumpy, what do you think about this defense in Philly?
He's like,
hold on, freeze it for 1 second. Freeze it for 1 second. Okay, I see where Dufour is. Where's Bailey? Okay, there he is. Okay, go ahead.
Turns his back to the play.
Look at that fucking effort.
That's Simon Holmstrom. That's it in a nutshell. That's what he does.
That is not
kind of stands around, does little circles.
Okay, that is. Oh my God, that he's doing nothing. He's not moving.
It's Simon Holmstrom.
Here it is again. Oh, these are two different goals.
No, that's not. That's a different goal.
These are the two different goals. Look at Josh Bailey.
God.
Michael M got this. Mike Moisa, I believe I'm pronouncing the last name right. Mike M there got it for us. Unbelievably accurate. Look at this. Deja vu, I think is what it's posted as. Look at the effort.
Oh my God.
Doop, 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 doop. Just standing still over here.
Yeah, listen, it's unfortunate Chalowski's out there for it. I don't know what.
Chalowski's hideous. He's hideous.
Yeah. He's not closing on anyone there. Yeah. I mean, here, take all the time and space you need to make this pass. I am not going to pressure you.
Oh, my God, we're bad. We're not making the playoffs.
Dave Johnson says here, Grumpy looks like Archie Bunker in that shirt and chair.
That's right, meathead.
Tony G says here, Phil has a giant freaking Canadian house with government-controlled maple syrup and a giant freaking moose. Is that true, Phil? You got a moose as your pet out there?
I wish. That'd be nice.
Mikey D said, great shirts. Thank you there, Mikey D. Goon says, did every single Bugger, listening to this podcast right now, share the same thought I did, and how as to the score reached 3-0 the other night. How soon until the Capitals come back and tie it? Were you guys worried when they took a 3-0 lead that the Capitals were going to come back and find a way?
I didn't think there was any way we were losing that game.
No, not at all.
Going up 3-0.
No, the Pajot hit changed the game.
Yeah.
And that first goal we gave up, that was
we're not even as physical.
Grumpy, I lost his comment, but somebody did say Grumpy is a true artist. Pony Boy Curtis says Grumpy's a true artist.
Thank you, Pony Boy.
Tony Cheese says TJ loves when Phil comes on because all our venom and insults immediately redirects towards Phil. I get the
love it.
That's true. Usually TJ's getting attacked on a regular.
It only makes me stronger.
Well, TJ must be the strongest guy on the planet for the views he takes.
I chuckled at this one. Tony Cheese said, Pony Boy, we've already established this. PhilzFacts murders people and takes their W-2s as trophies.
Wow.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't know that, Phil.
We call them T4s up here, but yeah. Sure.
There it is. His T4.
Dallas McDonald says, holy cow, a Hunter Fashing appearance on TNT. You're not the only one, TJ.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but
yeah, they were raving about the guy. Everyone, by the way, all the out of town, because you guys probably get it too with the package. So Sportsnet, it's like 50-50. The out of town broadcast, they always highlight Fashing. They like him.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like there. He just can't finish.
Just can't finish.
He just can't finish. If he was oh man, he's got the tools. He has the tools. You could understand. I looked back at what Buffalo gave up for him. Buffalo gave up a lot for him. When you look back at that trade, it was a year after he was drafted. They gave up like 2 second-round picks in Braden McNabb.
Wow.
For Hudson Fashing, who was picked in the 5th round, I think. Because he had a great year at college or something like that. They gave up 2 seconds, Braden McNabb, for Delorier and Fashing. But Fashing was the primary piece that they wanted there. And then at the time that he was brought in Buffalo was just a complete dumpster fire. And they couldn't develop anyone. And he never really had a chance there. So
his numbers in Minnesota were good. And his numbers in the AHL have always been pretty solid and steady too.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who, if he had probably a better development situation earlier on than that shit show that they had in Buffalo, he probably would have been a regular NHL player somewhere. Because you could see he knows how to play.
When you're getting cracks and trying to break the lineup for the Sabres and the Coyotes, it's tough to find it.
Coyotes, they used him in like 4th line spot duty with garbage players last year when they were starting to trade players away in order just like to have people fill random roles. That wasn't really a development opportunity. His development, and development's, part of it is drafting and then part of it is development, but their scouts identified him for a reason and gave up a significant amount for him. They just never were able to get their shit together like they weren't with a lot of players there.
Goon says, Phil, don't accept the haters. I love you. Can we be friends?
Absolutely.
I don't think you want to be friends with him, Phil.
Tony Cheese just said Goon just dropped a few levels on the Islanders. Never say die totem pole. Oh, no. He wants to be friends with PhilzFacts. Drew did mention. So, Phil, what are your thoughts on Oliver Wahlstrom and Noah Dobson?
I gave my thoughts on Oliver Wahlstrom before. I think he is probably a 3rd-line player with maybe 2nd-line upside if he can ever figure out how to skate and stick handle better. And I think when Noah Dobson isn't shooting an outrageous shooting percentage like he was for the first 30 games, he is a work in progress. He is elite at getting pucks through. Yep. Very good attribute. That's the only area of his game where I would say that I consider him to be high end. He does not attack the zone in the way that a Yossi, a Fox, a Makar, Hedman in his prime did. He doesn't command that largesse. Maybe he will one day, but he's not as skilled as like the upper tier offensive defenseman at 5-on-5. He just isn't. He's elite at getting pucks on net, which leads to goals and sometimes fluky goals, but that's what happens when you're shooting as often as he does. So it'll hit off of sticks and skates and whatever. He's a solid passer. He leaves a lot to be desired on the power play. And maybe that a lot of that has to do with scheme. And maybe that's on the coaching staff, but the only high-end area of his game is his shooting ability. That's what I'll say about him.
You don't think he's a good skater?
He's a good skater. I don't think he's a great skater. I think he's a good skater. He's not like particularly fast. He doesn't have like breakaway speed. He's a good skater. He's long, so like visually it looks like he's
fast.
It looks like he's skating faster than he actually is, but it takes him a little bit to get going. He's not like he's not a high end skater.
I think he's the fastest skating.
I think he's moving faster than he looks.
He's not as fast as Romanov, and he's not as fast as Aho.
I think he's faster than both of those.
I think he's faster than both those guys.
No,
his stride, 3 strides, he's at center ice.
Yep.
He has
powerful long strides.
He does have a long stride. He absolutely does. I think
his skating is good. It's good. It's above average skating. It's not high end skating. Like you look at the way Yossi moves. That's like elite skating ability.
He's not comparing him to Norris Trophy winners. I'm just saying the guy's a good.
Well, if you're talking about him in the $10 million picture, then yeah, that's what I'm comparing him to.
Never had to whip that card out, TJ.
You want to talk about the $10 million pitcher?
He's
players get paid on $1 million
defenseman.
Players get paid on points. The cap will be freaking 48 points million. The cap will be what 92 million by the time period his new contract kicks in. He's going to make $10 million a year. Book it now. Okay. You've heard me say it a million times. You've heard me say this a million times, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoever gives him that contract should be shot.
Let me
should be shot and killed.
Let me handle this one, Phil.
Go ahead.
TJ, he's never going to be the highest paid player on this team, period.
Nope.
Just forget it. It's not happening.
With a new general manager,
he's not going to be the highest paid player on this team, period.
Anything can happen with the new general
manager. He will not be the highest
paid player. That new general manager should be killed and shot and disgraced and embarrassed. You do not get this player.
Has got a lot still in store to surprise you with.
Okay, let's get to the next comment, please.
Let's give it. What do we think? What do we think Dahlin's getting this summer on an 8-year deal?
8-year deal. He's making at least 9+.
9.5.
I think it's going to be 10.
Okay.
I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get 8 by 10.
Sure.
Okay.
Dobson's not Dahlin. He's just not.
The cap continues to increase, though. The cap will increase from this
Dobson's
summer until two summers from now by about like 8 or 9 million.
They're doing this deal next summer, TJ. It's going to be next summer that they're doing this deal. The same way
cap's still going to increase. What is it? It's projected 2, then 4, then or 2, 4, or 2, 3, and whatever it is. 2, 3, 5.
If Dahlin is getting $10 million this summer, then the following summer Dobson's getting 7.5.
I think he'll get more than 7.5. I think he'll probably wind up going 8.
Dahlin's going to get 80 points this year. I mean, you're talking about like he's
I'm not putting him in.
Why would Dahlin?
I'm just saying
Dahlin's the highest paid defenseman in the NHL.
He won't be the highest paid defenseman in the NHL.
Right up there with Carlson. Absolutely.
I don't think he's getting an 11.6. Whatever he's at.
He's a 24-year-old defenseman. He's going to be signed to the prime.
He's 22. He's younger than Dobson.
He'll be a 23-year-old defenseman when he signs to the prime of his career, and he's putting up 80-point seasons, a plus on a team that, for the Sabres, who's an up-and-comer, he's going to get paid. He's the best.
I don't think he's getting 11.
I don't know. I don't think he's going to get 11 because he's still be under team control. So he's going to have to take less to get that max deal. He's going to take less because the fact that he's not into
1 year of team control.
He's only
2 years, I think. No, it's 2 years.
Okay, so in this situation, Dahlin's going to have 2 years still left of team control, and Dobson's going to have.
I might be wrong. It might be. I think you might be right. It might be 1 year.
Is it
I thought it was 1 and 1.
It's 1 and 1. You're right. You're 100% right. It's 1.
That said, I think what TJ's point is, Phil, is that salaries only go up; they don't go down.
Correct.
So when the cap goes up to like 92 million in 3 years, that's when Dobson's contract will kick in, and then they'll have more money. I don't think he's going to be $10 million. I've been steadfast on that, but I could see him getting 8.5, though. I really could, just because of where the cap is.
Okay, but here's the thing with Dahlin. Dahlin's new deal is going to kick in his age 24 season. Okay, it's going to be 8 years. They're going to give him the max amount. He's still going to have another big payday that's going to come after this. It's not the same as Carlson, who is a UFA, who could go to market and is getting his last bag, and who's also at the time was regarded as the best defenseman in the game. He was. He's not getting Carlson. I don't think he's getting.
No, he's not getting Carlson money. Don't listen to TJ. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
You think Dahlin could lead the NHL in points this year for defensemen?
No, I think Carlson's going to run away with it.
I'm not sure if he slows down. I know this year's had been a renaissance for him, but
yeah, I mean, listen, if they trade Meyer at the deadline, then all of a sudden it's a different story because they're racking up a ton of power play points. I mean, give me the top 10 defensemen in scoring right now. You have it pulled up?
I can pull it up. Yeah.
What if the Islanders make a play for Erik Karlsson, first round
Oh
pick?
my God.
What about that, Phil? You all for that?
At 50% retained?
TJ thinks no one wants to retain any money.
He right now, Dahlin's third in points.
How many behind Karlsson? Like 8 points, 10 points?
10 points. 10 points behind Karlsson.
Yeah, Karlsson's running away with that, I think.
More games had. Here's the thing though. Karlsson's older. He's had injuries left and right here in the past. I wonder if he misses any time this year. I'm just saying.
He might. Listen, again, yeah. Okay, fine. With the caveat that he doesn't miss any time, I think Karlsson's going to take the points. Wow. Okay. What Bonus has done with Josh Morrissey is remarkable.
You're not kidding. That's what I was like Josh Morrissey. Wow.
Bonus. So you had Morrissey and Trouba as like a really good dynamic pair there in Winnipeg. And then once they traded Trouba, both of them sucked. Right? It's like that Pellick Pullock dynamic. And then Bonus just comes in here. He's like, I'm going to fix this kid. And I'm going to give him the confidence to be a Norris Trophy winner. And he's been incredible for them. He is a huge reason why they are where they are.
Look at the names that he's surrounded by. Mind you, he plays a lot. He actually plays the penalty kills significantly more than Erik Karlsson does. But look at the names Dahlin's surrounded by. Erik Karlsson, Adam Fox, Josh Morrissey, Cale Makar, Dougie Hamilton, Quentin Hughes, Roman Josi. I mean, he's going to get freaking paid.
Right. I mean, and again, Fox is on 9.5, and Fox is better. He's a better complete player than
they bought out 2 years of team control on that contract, right?
Fox, maybe 3 years.
Okay, so they bought 3 years of team control.
Again, but Fox is a better player than Dahlin.
Oh,
he is. He just is.
Okay. Rasmus Dahlin's also 2 years younger than him. He's 22 years old. Hard to say.
I get that. But at Dahlin's age, Fox already won a Norris.
Yeah.
Dahlin might be winning the Norris this year.
I think
he's not. I think
Dahlin is a better overall defenseman than Fox.
No, defensively, Fox is better. The Rangers, if Fox never would have came along, they would be a gutter team. He is by far the best player on that team. It's not even close. It's not remotely close. He is a top 3 defenseman in the league.
I don't think he's great defensively. I never thought he's great defensively.
He is fantastic defensively.
Barry Richmond says, I think I got sick reading the Adam Henrique rumor. So where did this rumor come from, and who's propagating this possible
It's
rumor?
me. I'm the one propagating it.
Oh, it's Phil. Phil's the one who's reading the rumor, Grumpy.
People just keep recycling it.
He's spitting that stuff out all day on Twitter. All day. All day. That's what he does. He spits out these ridiculous things.
Okay, but listen, people are idiots because people don't like the rumor because they're like, oh, Adam Henrique is terrible. He's just one of Lou's old devils. And like, no, Adam Henrique is a legitimately very good player. You're just a moron. Like, there are plenty of really good reasons not to get Henrique, but one of them is not because he's bad and washed and crappy. He is very good. He's just not what this team needs in order to compete for a Stanley Cup this year. Therefore, you shouldn't do it. Do I think there's a distinct possibility that Lou might do something stupid and trade for Henrique? Yes. Will I be angry because Henrique is bad? No, Henrique is good. I'll be angry because he shouldn't be mortgaging assets for a guy who has a year and a half left, who's not a finishing piece to this roster.
TJ, pull up Henrique's numbers. Can we look at those?
I looked at him earlier, but yeah, I'll pull them up for you.
Pull them up.
Oh, actually, I still have it pulled up. Don't worry, Grumpy.
Okay, good. Because I'm interested to look at them. Just to look.
Read the next comment there, Grumpy, as this on the starred section. If you go there,
okay. If the Islanders are rebuilding, you trade Nelson. If you're retooling, truly. If you are retooling, no. I say you trade Nelson, period. Okay. I want to look at these stats because, like they say, even crappy teams have to have somebody who puts up points. You know who that is for Anaheim? Adam Henrique.
I would agree if not for the fact that, again, they're a +2 with him on the ice.
I don't care.
They're a
-2. How could they be +2 with him on the ice if he's a -2?
He must have, this is at 5-on-5, because he must have at empty net goals against and things like that.
Yeah. All I know is no. I don't need another Zach Parise on this team who makes $6 million a year.
He's
don't
much
need
better.
Another one of those. They get bought out by their teams for a reason because they can't do it anymore. He's okay.
He's not going to get
numbers. Look at his numbers. He's average. He's a ham and egger, middle of the road guy. He's been that forever.
He's on target to hit about 40, 50 points again this year. That's what he's always about, 40, 50 points.
He's a ham and egger. He's always been a ham and egger.
You're simplifying Henrique to just points. Like,
what do we need?
Point aggregation is silly. You need people who are going to win for you.
No,
okay?
What does this
I have been squatting on this take for a while. I'm just going to get it out there.
Get it out.
First released here on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast.
I have shared.
You want to save it for Twitter?
I have shared that. I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, I want to die in it. A PhilzFacts exclusive.
People are going to kill me for this. People are going to murder.
Oh, Phil. Go ahead, man. I love you. Go, Phil.
Ilya Sorokin.
No, he's gonna.
We're already doing great.
God, it's gonna get bad.
Ilya Sorokin is like Kirk Cousins.
Oh,
what? How?
Ilya Sorokin is like Kirk.
Oh, thanks. I hadn't laughed that hard in a while.
Ilya Sorokin is like Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
He has phenomenal stats. His stats are great at the macro level. When you look at it on the micro level, how many wins in excess do you think he has gotten us this year overall in the totality of the games he's played versus if we just had a good goalie in that?
I'd say 5 or 6.
I think it's less.
And we lose a lot of games.
So
and
we lose a lot of games that he plays well.
Yes.
No doubt about it. That's not the point. Okay. If you go and you look at it game by game, like, okay, this, it washes out. It's about even. It's legitimately even.
Yeah.
I got to pull this up. I'm sorry. The goals saved above expected. You like
again?
Watch out, Phil. Watch out. He's doing a PhilzFacts thing.
Hold on. The stats are saying what's the save percentage, what's the goals against average.
That's macro. That's macro. This is Kirk Cousins. Again, Kirk Cousins could throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns.
He's never thrown for 5,000 yards, and he's never thrown for 50 touchdowns. Though.
Oh, there you go, Phil. He's never done that, Phil.
What? This is
absurdity. Phil, come
okay,
on.
So look, what you're doing is helpful because I want people to see this. Sorokin has great numbers. Fantastic numbers. Impeccable numbers. He's up there with the best in the league.
That's right.
Go to his game log.
You know what this is more accurate saying? It's like saying we've got Jacob deGrom on our team, but because he doesn't win games because our team doesn't hit any freaking home runs or knock any runs in, or our team doesn't score goals, we're going to blame Jacob deGrom despite the fact that he's got a 2-something ERA and his whip's under 1. This is what this is like. We're saying not Kirk Cousins. You're saying that he's Jacob deGrom, and if he's Jacob deGrom, I agree with that. They don't win games because they don't provide run support, but his numbers are impeccable. His saves are fantastic, and he's consistently one of the best goalies in the league. Consistently one of the best pitchers in the league.
That is not what I'm saying.
Before you speak, Phil, those are TJ's facts for you right there.
Now I'm saying go game by game. Open up his game log.
Open up the game by game.
Open up the game by game.
He's going to do you're going to do a TJ thing now, Phil. You're going to do something and grab some type of obscure fact or something.
No, it's not an obscure fact. I want to get objective opinions. Start from the beginning of the season.
Okay, give me
game log.
All right. Do we need to go to the game log, Grumpy, for this?
Game log.
Go to the game log.
Gotcha. I know. I'm trying to get through all these freaking advertisements. Okay.
Game 1, they lost. He played great.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky just played better. That's all.
Anaheim played pretty well.
Any goalie wins that game.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but he did win the game.
Okay, we won 7-1. Any goalie wins that game.
Devils, they're a pretty good team.
Yeah, listen. Any goalie loses that game. We got dominated. Tampa game with a better goaltender, we could have won. He was awful that game.
What was the score of that Tampa game? Do we know?
5-3.
Okay, so we were dominated.
And Tampa Bay dominated us that game.
No, they didn't. No, they did not.
Not in shots, but in danger chances. What
are you talking about? The Nick Paul goal was disgusting. I'm sorry. You cannot let that goal go in from that angle on the ice when you get a completely unscreened shot. That was a dagger shot at the end of the period where we were only down 1 going into the third. Forget about it. The first goal of the game was a mishandled puck.
Okay,
so hold on. We're going to be nitpicking him for a bad game here or there and saying that.
No. What we're doing is there is this myth out there. There's a myth that the only reason the Islanders are where they are in the standings is because Ilya Sorokin has dragged them there.
Yes, let's talk about this myth because I'm in that.
We are not going to be on this podcast for 5 hours today.
And it is
sorry,
a myth.
ladies and gentlemen who are commenting in. These are good topics of conversation. We're going to try to get through comments, but
it is a myth. If you go game by game, you will realize.
Propagating this line.
Put it back up.
This
Put it
line
back
of
up.
lies,
Put it
Grumpy,
back up.
on our
Put it back
show.
up. Put it back up.
Hold
Put
on
it
a
back
second.
up.
Sure. Give me a second. I'll put it back up.
He stole the Ranger game. Stole.
Wait. Okay. Well, there's some will agree. There's some will argue. Okay. So far we're 4 games in, and you could probably argue that he's cost them a point to this point in the season.
Really? We think he's cost them a point.
Yeah, I think he cost them a point in that Tampa
Hold
game.
on. Wouldn't we say with better scoring, we should win that game? Wouldn't we say that our forwards cost us a point here?
Yes, but they didn't win that game.
Okay,
Again,
so
the whole thing is
when he goes out there and he pitches shutout through 7 innings,
you're
gives up 1 run.
Okay, you're not understanding where we are in the standings as a tribute to Sorokin. Okay, we didn't win that game. It doesn't get us points in the standings. That's what you're not getting. Are we better in the standings in large part due to Sorokin? Okay. The answer is no.
Yes.
I need to
again go through by game 4.
Shutout. That's all Sorokin. Without Sorokin, -2. So right now we're +1 in the positive. Against Carolina,
we're +1 in the positive.
Fantastic. Hey, buddy, I'm not saying like shitty goalie.
That was Sorokin too.
We dominated Carolina.
Stole it, Phil.
Stop it.
Stole it.
Okay, he did not steal Carolina.
He was phenomenal in that game.
Any game we win, all Sorokin. Look at how many. Hold on. Look at how many high danger chances our team goes ahead and just freaking gives up. We bleed through like a porous sponge all the time. These high danger scoring chances with normal goalies. That's what they've got. That stat with normal goalies, they freaking hemorrhage those in and they let them in. But against a good goalie, they make those saves. So every single goal,
you're saying without Sorokin, we don't beat Carolina 6-2.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. He made so many fantastic saves in the first period that kept us in that game. Absolutely.
How many empty netters did we have that day? Was it 2?
10 or 12?
1.
How many? Okay.
1. We dominated that game. That is the best.
Oh, I gotta call him on that one. 1 empty net goal. I don't know.
It was just the Parise goal.
He was phenomenal in that game.
We scored 5 on Anderson.
I can't tell you, Phil, how many. And I've said
him being phenomenal in a game doesn't mean that he stole the points in that game.
We would have lost to Carolina.
If you were down 2-0 early in the game, it changes the outcome of the game. But because your goalie stood on his head, kept it 0-0, and you go ahead and get a goal that locked it in, it changes the outcome of the game. For certain it does. Doesn't matter if you win 6-2. If you give up the momentum, just like a Jean-Gabriel Pageau hit against Alexander Ovechkin, if you keep that 0-0, it keeps the team still in the game. If you're down 2 or 3-0,
look at the game flow of that game, TJ. We controlled the play. In large part. Yes, we did.
How many point-blank chances do we need to see him save of opposing teams to say that kept us in the game now?
But that game wasn't
not in. We'd be down 2-0, which
that game was
the outcome.
Phil,
he did not steal that game.
Listen to me. Too. I'm glad I'm in the middle because you're both squabbling. Phil, I hate you right now because you're making me agree with TJ, and I really hate doing that.
He did not steal that game for them.
He was electric against Carolina early. Absolutely, he was.
Yes, he was.
He kept us in that game early. I think it's one of the best games we played. But they had.
It is the best game we played all year.
I think he had so many point blank chances that he saved early. Whereas like I said, as TJ mentioned, you go down a couple of goals, everything kind of changed a little bit. He's been spectacular for us. I don't even know. I think you're just doing this just to do it. You should do it on Twitter so people could just flame all over you.
I think this is to play devil's advocate or try to go down. I've always wondered when Phil tweets things out, how much
the Hurricanes had
trying to stir a reaction.
They had 10 high danger chances that entire game.
They had 10 high danger chances. Can you break it down
versus 13? 3 for the Canes.
How many by period? Can you break that down? Does it get that minute?
Okay, yeah, 100%. First period, 3 for the Canes, 4 for the Isles. Second period, 4 for the Canes, 5 for the Isles. Third period, 3 for the Canes, 4 for the Isles.
Sounds like we faced a lot of high danger chances. Our goalie came up to the task, and Carolina's did not.
10 is not a huge amount of high danger chances.
Well, what was it? 10 to 11 in high danger chances.
10 to 13.
So our goalie came up to the task. Their goalie didn't.
Yeah, that's what sounds.
But again,
like
we scored. We
won the goaltending battle. Our goalie did what they were supposed to do.
We did not win it. We dominated that game. Expected goals.
Yeah,
2.75 for the Islanders, 2.48 for the Canes.
It doesn't sound like dominated. It sounds like it was pretty much neck and neck, but our goalie did what he was supposed to do, and their goalie shit the bed.
But again, that's not. I wouldn't classify that as he stole the points in that game.
He did. He's a point thief. He steals them.
Chicago game. He did not steal the points in that Chicago game. We dominated. We dominated Chicago.
When you're
that was a
allows...
goal given up late. We were up 2-0, and we gave up a goal late in that game. We were in full control of that game.
How about St. Louis? We saying did he steal the points in St. Louis game?
No, he did not steal. We went down 1-0.
Honestly, maybe he feels convinced me. I don't think Sorokin deserves any of these points.
No, listen. We went down 1-0. We came out.
Hold on. Look at game 9. He cost us that game against Detroit.
He gave up a fucking goal, Grumpy, on 2 shots.
No, he didn't.
Sorokin, get rid of him.
-2. That's -2.
Get him
out.
He
did not steal the game against St. Louis. They went down 1-0. And then in the opening 5 minutes of the second period, we scored 4 goals and dominated the rest of the game.
My gosh.
Calgary.
So far we're at 2. He's netted us 2 points.
Calgary stole that game. Absolutely stole that game. Absolutely stole that game. Stole it. Stole it.
God. I'm saying plus.
You lose 1-0 to Arizona. That's not his fault. Sorry.
I'm not saying, but again, how many excess points is the question?
2. So far is 4. 4 extra.
Okay, so let's call it
4 excess points.
Without Sorokin, 4 points in 10 games.
Without Sorokin, we're freaking sitting where the Columbus Blue Jackets are sitting.
Oh my goodness. Okay, no. So
worse. So why did you do this? So why
Stop.
are you doing this?
Okay, we're at game 11, and you're saying, by your count 4, he's earned us 4 extra points. Okay.
Hey, against Toronto, is that a? I think that's a quality win.
That was Toronto. Okay, but against Nashville, he cost us 2 points.
How about Edmonton
game?
Yeah, he was bad. He was bad against Nashville. Yeah.
Okay, take off 2 right now.
Okay, so we're still +2. I think when he shuts out Edmonton at 49 shots, I think he gets the credit for stealing us a game.
No. That game was the biggest mirage shutout ever.
Don't worry, your eyes are deceiving you. You're gaslighting. Your eyes are deceiving you. When you shut the team out, you're not doing a good enough job.
49 shots on goal, shutout. And
you didn't steal the game. You didn't keep us in that game. It was all the offense. The offense wins us the games, but when you're out there, right, we're blaming you.
Why
on shots.
are you doing this, Phil?
Okay,
Phil,
Grumpy.
Don't provoke him, please. Don't do it any further.
At the point where we went up 3-0 against Edmonton, we were ahead in the shot count by like 21-17. Okay, and then the refs gave them a third period filled of power plays for game management purposes, the stupidest penalties you've ever seen, and they beefed up the shot count. That would be like saying in the game that we lost to Nashville, where we put 48 shots on goal, that we deserve to win that game. We did not deserve to win that game. Lincoln made 47 saves, but those were not particularly tough saves that he made. It is the same thing in the Edmonton game. We were up 3-0, and then shots started pouring in from all angles. He did not steal that game.
It was a 0-0 game. It was a 0-0 game through the first period, and we were outshot by a huge margin.
There was nothing dangerous in that game.
Very little. We just have to rely upon you for that type of stuff. That stat world. But here's the thing: why are we talking about high danger scoring chances when they're negated? When we're talking about Sorokin's ability to save those high danger scoring chances, why is that? Why are we not looking and comparing those as apples to apples? It looks like we're using and selectively picking. We want to use in the little analytics we want to use.
I'm going. Listen, the comparison is Sorokin versus a good goalie. Do we lose the Edmonton game with a different goalie?
Sure.
I don't think so. No, we don't. We were the better team.
Oh, wow.
100%.
Toronto.
Toronto, stole those points.
Okay, so now 100%. We're back in the positive +4. We've added.
We're at +4. Toronto, 100%. We're at +4.
Sure. We didn't lose this game because of him.
Now.
No, it's +4.
He took 2 off earlier.
I took 2 off for Nashville.
Phil's math.
I took 2 off for Nashville.
We did 49 not lose save shutout. I'm sorry, those are stealing points.
Same thing. We didn't lose to Nashville because of Sorokin, but again, in that game, we outshot them 48-21. Our shots were garbage shots. Same thing.
Okay, I'm going to say he's had maybe 2-3 top stinkers this year in games.
Okay, St. Louis, terrible. He cost us at least 1 point in that game.
Okay, so we're back down to a +3. Let's keep going.
+3. Okay.
Let's keep going. Against the Rangers, he gets a loss.
Hey, you skipped like 4 games there.
Hold on. So you're thinking that when he only allowed 2 goals there in Philly, you thinking that's one that he forced us to lose? I don't think so.
No, not at all.
Gotcha.
No.
So the Nashville we said wasn't. You said for St. Louis. Now we're blaming the loss. Are we blaming the loss against Carolina on him? I'm
not on him.
Okay, cool. Arizona.
He lost us a point there.
Okay, so good. We're at +2 now. We're still at +2.
We got Arizona dominated us that game.
No, they didn't.
How about when he held 46? He held right. If we have any offensive ability,
That's
right?
+1. That's +1. Yeah, 100% +1. So now we're at +3
against the Rangers.
He cost us a point, 100%.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
I don't even know how somebody remembers.
He doesn't. He's making up. He's like you,
in
TJ.
December around Christmas time. You're getting ready. You're getting your kids their presents. You're running out to the store, making last-minute decisions. What type of pony princesses do we need this year?
That third goal can't go in. That third goal cannot go in. From the angle it went in, it just can't go in. You cannot give up that third goal.
How do you even remember that? He was in the game to begin with. See,
no,
that's
he didn't.
You can't. Yes.
Fuck.
Yes.
That's why all the saves above expected show you that he keeps us in games when we're not supposed to be in them.
Okay.
He had little analytics.
He gave up. Hold on. If you want to go by the analytics in that game, he gave up 4 goals in that game, right?
Yeah, sure. 4 goals.
He gave up 4 goals on an expected.
Hold on. We're going to use this on certain games, but why don't we do that for every win?
Yeah, Phil.
Why don't we do that on every win too?
We can do it for every win.
Because if we were doing the expected goals, you would notice that he's winning us a lot more points and he's losing us. It would give us the quantifiable stat that you want to look at.
There'll be no more comments read today. I'm just going to tell you.
Hey,
Phil has derailed the podcast. Thank you, Phil.
Keep going. All right. Florida.
The wins against Florida, Pittsburgh, Columbus. Sure. Every single one of them.
He stole all those games. Are you kidding me?
He's every game where you're shutting down an opponent or you're giving up 1 goal. Absolutely, you're stealing the game. I don't care if you win 5-0 because here's the thing: if you face 10 or 15 shots in the first period and you look lights out, it gets in the psyche and the mindset of the other team. And when your team starts saying, "Oh, gotcha," they start gripping their sticks a little harder. Jesus Christ, I can't get it.
Hold on. We went down 1-0 against Florida, and then we just shit stomped them.
And who has to be there to help keep the shit stomping intact?
There was nothing going on. That was a complete obliteration.
The 23 shots game, Trumpy could line up out there and stop those.
I'm sorry. I could have put you in net for the Pittsburgh game, and we would have won.
I don't know about that, Phil. You're selling me too much credit over here.
No, here's the thing, Phil.
Pittsburgh had nothing. They had nothing. Even
he's
the goalie
not an athlete, but he used to play one on television, so don't mess with him.
Any goalie wins that Columbus game. Any goalie wins that Columbus game.
You're telling me we could be throwing out guys like, I don't know, Casey DeSmith, Tristan Yari, and they're pulling all
100%. What do we outshot Columbus 46-21 that game? They got their goal with 20 seconds left in a 6-on-5. Okay.
When you are making stops, I don't think I can reiterate this enough. If your goalie faces hard, because we talked about this early on in the season, we slept through the first period. When we were sleeping through the first periods, what has to happen if we're, let's say hypothetically, we're sleeping? You said this earlier. We slept through the first period,
and we would go down in those games anyway.
Until the last 4 games. Well, guess what? If you're sleeping through the first few periods and you have a big explosion in the third period, your goalie is keeping you in the game. If you offensively and defensively, you're sleeping through the period, and you have a big third period, your goalie's keeping you in the game.
Again,
you just goalie earlier on.
Good goalie beats Columbus that game.
All I'm going to say is I can't tell you how many games I've watched this year, and I'm like, if Sorokin's not in net, we lose this game.
We flop goalies.
We lose.
And now I'm going to have to be more active on Twitter. Every single time Sorokin goes in and wins this game and has a good game, I have to say, fail.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins. I'll just send a meme.
Again, can I be the voice of reason, please?
We've so far maybe 5 points max.
Okay.
Maybe.
I need to be the voice of reason because you both are insane right now. If you watch the games, I don't need to look at stats. I never have. When you watch games and you see critical saves at critical times, I say to myself, I mark it down. I'm like, huge save. And I've said to TJ 100 times, I'm like, without Sorokin, we're not even close to a playoff spot without him. I don't feel.
Disagree.
Right.
Not even close. He's made so many big saves in critical times of the
and in
game.
most of the games we lose.
No, not true.
Listen, making critical saves in games that we lose.
Not that we lose. I'm not the games we 100%. Lose are the games we lose. I'm talking about the games that we're winning. And I'm like, man, without him, we
just went through it. It's maybe 4 games. Maybe 4 of his 15 wins have been games where it's been like, yeah, these 4 wins we can attribute to Sorokin. But with those 4 wins, there are 3 losses that you can knock off.
I see. I think he's had 2 bad games this year. 2.
He was bad against Washington. Giving Washington that first goal the other night was bad. He let them back in with a terrible goal. He did.
Okay, the team played like dog crap
They
from the
did.
middle of the second period on.
But again, if he doesn't give up that first goal, who says the ball gets rolling?
Okay,
that's a bad goal to give up in that.
The other ones were not his fault. It's because the team is so
the
bad
other 3 were not
him defensively.
Nope, the other, I agree.
Bad defensively in front of him.
Let me ask you this: you think Marc-Andre Fleury? What do you think about him as a goalie in his
career? He's bad. I think at this point he's a bad goalie.
Gotcha. Well, he's better than Roberto Luongo, better than Eddie Belfour, better than
I said right now.
First Joseph. I think throughout his career. I'm talking about throughout his career.
He's talking about right now.
Right now, he's a bad goalie right now.
I mean, throughout his career, where would you bring Marc-Andre Fleury?
I never thought Marc-Andre Fleury was a great goalie.
Me neither. I thought he was okay.
I thought he was good. I thought he was really good, but I don't.
He was fine.
I mean, he had the year in Vegas. I thought he was sensational. But other than that, I always thought he was good. I liked him. He was a good goalie.
He didn't deserve the Vezina the year he won the Vezina.
Arguing wins is like arguing pitchers, how many wins pitchers have. Marc-Andre Fleury's 3rd all-time in wins, and he's going to surpass Patrick Wall in all likelihood.
Because he's like 40 years old and he's played forever.
Okay.
And he's played on the Pittsburgh dynasty teams. I mean,
you could say Marty Brodeur, right?
Yeah, sure.
They didn't have
Marty
a whole
Brodeur,
lot of
the best
shots on goal on him
bad.
when he played with the Devils. They didn't have a whole shots on goal on him, and people, he was so good.
Brodeur's not Hasek.
But okay, you want to know who is Hasek?
Yes.
Nobody is Hasek.
No one's
okay.
Hasek. Right.
But Martin Brodeur, so many games, he might only have 18 shots against, 22 shots against, 19 shots against.
You're missing my whole point. My whole point isn't
he's saying that he doesn't steal points for us. He doesn't win games for us.
He has not netted out more than 4 points, in my opinion, in the positive when you look at the wins and the losses. Again, he has netted the team how many points? 32 points total. When you look at
a bad team, Phil.
Here's the thing.
I'm not disputing that.
Now that we're going to start tracking this.
Here's the thing. From my perspective, when you're a bad team, a goalie can only do so much. We don't score.
Yes, the team has cost Sorokin points. That's the way to look at it. The team has cost Sorokin wins. The team has cost Sorokin the Vezina Trophy. 100%.
I agree.
All I'm disputing is this. They would be, if you take away Sorokin's bad performances, they would be about 6 spots ahead in the standings right now. If you net out the games where he has performed in excess of a good goaltender, let's call it Varlamov, versus Sorokin, where it's like, okay, if we had Varley in this game, we would have
lost a lot of those games.
You say good goalies. The thing about a good goalie is a good goalie sometimes shits the bed and has a miserable game. Not all good goalies come out there and say, every night I'm posting 1 goal against and 25 saves. That's not how it works. Good goalies get freaking run out of the building too. That's what I'm saying. When you're using this term, good goalie, you don't know what type of good goalie shows up at the arena. It could be the good goalie who lays an egg, or could be the good goalie who stands on his head.
Look at Varley tonight. Look at Varley tonight.
Like shit.
He lets in 2 goals he should have stopped.
Yeah, sure.
If Sorokin plays tonight, do we win?
If Sorokin's sure, maybe we win.
Maybe
we keep a 1-0 lead into the second to the third period.
It's a different game at 2-1.
That second goal, I'm sorry, that second goal goes in on anyone. Bar down, hitting you in the back.
Maybe he makes the save originally on it because Varlamov couldn't get his hand up there quick enough. Maybe Sorokin makes that save with the glove so it doesn't even hit the bar. We don't know. That's my point. We have no idea.
We scored 1 goal. We had like nothing dangerous after the first.
But if it's
your team still has a 1-goal lead going into the second period, the third goal
is different. Once it goes down 3-1, game's over. Game's over 3-1. I mean, because we don't generate anything.
I disagree.
But if it's 2-1,
he brings us into an overtime loss.
I mean, we were up 1-0 in that game.
Maybe if he would have shut him out, period.
If he would have shut him out, you could have said, "Hey, he stole a point." I think he lost us points today.
Sure, I agree with that.
So there you go.
Every single time now, I'm gonna have to be on Twitter more often. Every time that Sorokin comes out and balls out.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks. I warned you. I said, please don't do it. Save it for Twitter.
Let's
This
get,
way,
let's get,
TJ,
we'll
this
get
way,
to
TJ could just rant at me how crazy Phil is. And I'm
Phil,
like,
Grumpy, you wouldn't believe it. He said that Sorokin lost just a game where he let one go.
and I'm like, Phil, I said, Phil's gone off the rails. I've said that numerous times. I said, Phil's gone off the rails. I don't know what the hell's going up there in Canada. I don't know, but there's trouble afoot. I've said that all year. So
I told you it was going to be a very hot take.
I
warned you.
It is like a magma. It's like we're walking on the sun.
I'm gonna bet, Phil, that you're not gonna have many likes on that tweet when you put it out there tonight.
Oh, I've put this out previously where it's just been like, TJ's seen some of the stuff I've put out.
I really don't, unless somebody sends me your tweets. I really don't see. So I get like a selected bit of the tweets. That's why I'm like, Phil's lost his fucking mind.
Okay. TJ said that if I get a notification that you've done a tweet, if I look at it, he can't look at it.
No. Okay, so here's the thing. Sometimes I'm trying to differentiate. When we get a direct message and you pull up the direct message, the notification goes away, where it's not going to show as you have one missed message when I log in. But if you go ahead and look at a notification, it's different. I'm not going to get the notification, but
okay,
I'm
TJ
heard about direct message.
How can I tell the difference?
Did someone send you my Noah Dobson for Elias Pettersson trade?
We had a lot of people talking about that here on the show. I didn't know that there's another rumor started. There's another one started.
That one's me. People and okay.
Phil's
I think
a troll.
all three of us could agree.
Phil's a troll.
I think
he's
trolling.
I think
he's
all three
trolling
of us
on our show. He's trolling. He's trolling.
This is the reason why my mental sanity disappears.
Is there anyone amongst us three in a 1-for-1 deal, or even Dobson and something else for Elias Pettersson that would say no?
I would never trade Sorokin for Pettersson. Ever.
Sorokin. Sorokin, I would for sure trade for Pettersson.
I know he's fucking with us right now. I know he is. Look at him.
I am not.
Look at him in his eyes. Hold on. And again, say that one more time.
Why, Phil?
I would trade Ilya Sorokin for Elias Pettersson, and so would everyone.
Ow! God almighty. I swear to God.
And Grumpy's looking at me like I'm crazy, but Grumpy agreed. Grumpy knows deep down that he would.
No.
He's the top 5 goalie in the NHL.
We're a top 7 center.
You know what? We are Columbus without Sorokin. We're Columbus.
Yeah, exactly.
With Elias Pettersson, it doesn't matter who's in net.
Columbus.
Wow.
How many points does he have?
How many goals does Elias Pettersson have this year? 18.
And he's shooting 6 points below his career average.
Okay, no. We're not playing that bullshit. He hits usually about 20.
Why are
you
you
30 goal year guy?
Pull up his career stats. Pull it up. Pull up Pettersson's stats.
Why are you poking him?
Pull up Pettersson's stats.
18 goals. He's never hit over 32 goals in a season. He plays on a run and gun freaking Vancouver style.
Pull up the stats. Pull up.
I've got him pulled up, but I'll pull him up for us.
So why? I'm begging you.
He is.
I'm begging you to
most
stop.
Elite goal scorers in the entire league.
No, come on.
I like Elias Pettersson.
I do too.
He's not one of the elite goal scorers. In the
18
league,
goals.
Come on now.
Hold on. Let's do the math on this.
I like him. I think he's really, really good, but
I don't consider him he's not that
an elite goal scorer in the league. I don't.
Let's look at Dobson. Dobson plays defense, and he's only 6 goals behind Pettersson.
Oh,
wow!
Ooh, Phil.
Okay, hold on.
Ooh, wow.
Pettersson's goals. Again, he's never played 82 games because his first 2 seasons were shortened. Okay,
he played 80 last year. I mean,
he played 80 last year. He had 32 goals and 36 assists. This year, he has 52 points. 52 points in 41 games.
They're running gun, though. You know that.
He is the best player on their team by far.
I'm not. I don't know.
It's not even close. He is better than Matt Barzal.
Oh,
it's not even close. He is a 16.5% shooter.
How
many 16.5% shooters exist?
Well, he's actually a 12.8% shooter
on his career.
Okay,
he is a 33 goals per 82 game guy. And he's only 23 years old.
Let me put it to you this way.
He is a top 10 center. He's better than a top 10 center. Okay. He's probably a top 8 center.
Okay. If you put Elias Pettersson here and Matt Barzal there, you're going to see everything flip-flop.
Matt Barzal would never be a 16.5% shooter.
But he'd have over 100 points every single year playing for Vancouver.
I don't know that.
In that offense?
Are you kidding me?
They don't play any defense.
If you put Elias Pettersson with Matt Barzal on the same line, how good would this team be?
I think it'd be it would be better. It'd be better.
It would be better than better. It would be great.
Oh, we would not be great because
We would be fantastic.
we'd have one good line.
We would be absurd. We would be unstoppable.
See, I like Horvat.
Hey, well, we'd have to be putting up, I don't know, maybe 700 goals a season if we said we don't need Sorokin because of how many games he steals.
Now he's irrational, Phil. You did it. I hope you're happy now. What's the next comment? I'm derailing this. What's
Tony Cheese says,
I'm just reading the comments from here on out. Both the two of you shut up. Tony Cheese says, I would just rather ask him questions about Canada. Like, what's a Tim Hortons? It's a coffee place. How many hitchhikers have you picked up and murdered? Phil, I'll let you answer that one.
I don't know. It's just a weird question.
He doesn't know how many.
He's going to he's pleading.
Let's just say he's in the serial killer variety. Goon says, Phil, thank you for advice last time. How can I dress like you? What else can I do to be more like you? No more comments from Phil. Obviously, he does not want to blow his, whatever's going on with
his cover. Grumpy. Here's the thing. We're not going to get through comments, guys. We apologize. But hey, I feel like
I feel bad. I've taken us off the rails. I've angered every.
We read every comment all the time about 99 out of 100 shows. So, we're just having conversation. I think people have enjoyed tonight, Grumpy.
I hope so.
I haven't even looked at recent comments, but I'm sure they're either pro Phil or against Phil with that. I can't
hate to say this, Phil. I hate to say it, but we do need to get you on more often. I hate to say it, but but I feel like I got a reference because you've been so crazy this year, and you're ridiculous off the rails. I mean, comments, forget it. Comments, sorry, you're done for the day. But Phil's been so ridiculous this year. Like I said, I don't read Twitter. I don't. And TJ told me if I look at something, it's gone. So I'm like, I don't look at anything, but I'll just see a little snippet highlight, and every once in a while I'll click on something, and I'm like, Phil is just trolling everyone. He flip-flops on everything he says from one week to the next. He's just trying to draw a following, obviously. I mean, look at him.
90% of it, yeah.
Yeah, look at him. Look at where he is. It must be a hostage situation at a house going on right now.
No, we're good here.
That's from your perspective. I'm talking about the girls in your pool.
The girls, okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They'd speak a little bit differently, I'm afraid. And he just sits there all day down there. What can I do? And TJ starts taking. I'm like, Phil's just crazy. TJ's gone off the rails. Something's going on in Canada. I don't know what they're drinking water. I don't know what's going on up there, but I don't even want to ask questions.
Water. They've got Flint, Michigan water transported directly to.
No, our water's good. We got Lake Ontario. We got good water.
Lake Ontario, yeah. That's it. I think everybody pisses in that lake.
I want to hear other hot takes that Phil has. We've talked about that one.
He does not have any more hot takes, and we don't have.
No, hold on. We're not doing comments. So one more hot take, Grumpy. What would that take? Maybe it's gonna be an easy hot take.
I don't know. That one hot take just took us 45 minutes.
It was a fantastic.
It was so ridiculous, and he kept trying to sell it, and you kept on feeding into it. No, just ignore. You know what you do? You know what you do when someone's like, you just ignore them and walk away. Because you don't feed into that. And he's smirking at you because he's got you all riled up. And then he starts saying one thing even more further.
He believes it. No, he believes this one, Grumpy. He believes this one.
He doesn't believe it.
I think he does.
He really doesn't. He really
I want to hear one more Phil's hot take that you have. Okay, maybe, again, that was hot. That was way too hot. That was picante, very hot, too spicy to handle. But I want to hear one more hot take you've got.
I don't know. I mean, those are my most controversial. My Dobson and Sorokin takes are always the most controversial. I gave you my assessment of Dobson. I love that he shoots. I love that he gets shots on goal. Outside of that, you lose nothing if you get Shane Gostisbehere instead of him.
Oh God, you're right. You see, he does another one of those. Shane Gostisbehere. No, sorry.
You don't lose much by getting Shane Gostisbehere. You lose a couple inches, and you get a lefty instead of a righty. But in terms of like offensive production and someone who can walk the blue line both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. Who's a better power play quarterback? No Dobson or Shane Gostisbehere?
No Dobson. Here's the question,
okay.
Phil.
No.
Whose power play has consistently struggled since Zygmunt Palffy left? The New York Islanders. Whose power play has been freaking abysmal? Bottom third in the NHL for, I don't know, maybe last.
You're saying that Dobson had worse personnel than Shane Gostisbehere on his power play?
Regarding power play, regarding movement, for certain. Yes,
our power
play is fucking miserable. It's been miserable for years.
Our power play is so slow.
It's so solvable,
and
too.
it's not the guy up top. It's the guys he's passing. But I said it to her. I said, that's the way you should be on a power play. I look at other teams. Look how they zip the pass. Look how they zip the puck around. Our guys just hold it, slow pass, slow pass, slow pass, slow shoot. Bailey gets it. Everybody sloughs off. I mean, that's not Dobson's fault. I'm sorry. And Shane Gotcha-Spare was there. Guess what? That wouldn't be his fault either. We're just
Gotcha-Spare, 9 goals, 19 assists, 28 points.
So less.
And he plays for Arizona, right?
More point production than Dobson in less games.
For Arizona, right?
Dobson is what, 26 points, 27 points?
I don't know. I got pulled up.
But now Gotcha-Spare still plays for Arizona, correct?
Yeah, they're terrible. They're awful.
Okay, they're terrible. Even crappy
Dobson
teams,
has 27 points. So Gotcha-Spare has 1 more point in 2 less games with 1 less goal.
but even crappy teams
Have players who score.
have Marius Chicago.
And we're a crappy team.
We're
Our
not
players who
as crappy
score
as
are Noah
Arizona.
Dobson.
We're not as crappy as Arizona.
We've lost both games to Arizona, haven't we?
Oh,
We have. One
Okay.
game we lost for Sorokin. The next game Sorokin lost for us.
I swear to God. Yes.
He lost that game for us. When we give you a 2-goal lead as a goalie against Arizona, you simply cannot piss that away for us.
Oh no,
and
Phil,
then we
I was with you there.
and then we tie it up again. You got to at least get us to overtime. Do not give up that shitty 4th goal. That was an awful goal, that 4th goal in that game on the left side. Oh.
Okay, think about their power play unit. Tell me this power play unit is worse than ours.
Okay.
They've got Barrett Hayton.
He sucks.
Nick Schmal. Okay, Barrett Hayton does not suck.
He sucks.
Barrett
Hayton
Hayton's
sucks.
young.
Barrett Hayton is a bust. Barrett Hayton is terrible.
Get off it. I don't even know where to. I got to pull Barrett Hayton stats now. Barrett
I'll
Hayton-
pull him up. I'll pull him
Look
up.
at-
Barrett
look how-
Hayton, 5 goals, 9 assists. One of those goals is an empty net goal. He has 2 power play points. They're both assists.
Wait,
Barrett
so
Hayton has 2 power play points
so
the whole year.
20% of his goals are power play goal or empty net goals.
Yeah, 1 out of the 5. It was against. I think it was against Toronto. Actually, yeah, it was.
Barrett Hayton's 22 years old. Okay, so I'm not
stinks.
ruling him as okay.
Okay, but he's worse than
Nick
every
Schmaltz.
single player on our power play, objectively.
Nick Schmaltz, Clayton Keller.
Solid. He's not as good as Brock Nelson.
Clayton
Brock Nelson freaking blows, and 3/4 of his goals are empty netters.
Hold
Keller.
on.
Shane Gotcha-Spare and Jacob Chikrin.
Hold on. Clayton Keller is better or worse than Matt Barzal?
Worse, I don't think he's as good.
Okay. Nick Schmaltz, better or worse as a net front guy than Anders Lee?
Let me ask you this: Barrett Hayton, better or worse than Josh
Anders Lee
Bailey?
does nothing on the power play. Nothing. He's
Josh
garbage
Bailey
man,
is not on Noah Dobson's unit.
I'll take who's
Josh Bailey is not on Noah
Spent
Dobson's
time
unit.
this year on the first power play. For certain, he has.
No, he has not.
Who?
For like 1 game, literally 1 game against Vancouver. That was
Somebody's got to pull that up.
Who?
He's spent
They-
more than 1 game with more than 1 game on the
No,
first
the
power
unit has been.
Who?
They started. I'm sorry.
Bailey.
They started the
No,
power play 1.
Bailey plays second unit for the most part.
He has played this year at times on the first power play unit.
He has.
No, he
but,
has not.
But I wouldn't. He has, but I wouldn't.
For
I
like
wouldn't
a
think-
half a day.
He's not.
Their
he's not-
power play unit to start the year was everyone they have now, except it was Palmieri in the bumper instead of Pajot. Then they moved Palmieri to the second unit and put Pajot on this unit. Almost exclusively, it's been Nelson, Lee, Barzal, Dobson, and either Palmieri for the first like 10 games. And then since then, it's been Pajot, with the exception of the game against Vancouver, where they changed up the units.
There were certain games where Bailey would be on the first power play unit, but for the vast majority, he's the second power play. First of
Yeah.
all, he shouldn't be allowed on the ice. Period. Whenever we have a
We
man.
agree. We agree. But my point is, the personnel that Dobson's operating with on his power play have been better than who Gostisbehere has been operating with.
I'll
on his.
disagree. I think Barzal is better
Then Keller.
Clayton. Clayton Keller. Who was your other comparison?
Nick Schmaltz.
Nick Schmaltz versus Anders Lee in the
I'll
net
take
front.
Nick Schmaltz over Anders Lee.
As a net front guy?
I don't like Anders Lee. Period. He does nothing for the power play.
Barrett Hayton or
Absolutely
Brock
nothing.
Nelson?
I'm giving
I
Brock.
thought you mentioned Schmaltz and Nelson is what you mentioned
Schmaltz.
earlier.
No, I said Schmaltz and Lee. I'm talking about roles.
I'm giving Nelson over Barrett.
Okay. Chikrin only came back recently. Okay.
Yeah,
Earlier in the season, it wasn't Chikrin. It was like Nick Ritchie or something like that, or Nick Bustad. But yeah, I would say that
I'll take Chikrin over Pajot.
Chikrin over Pajot, but they played different roles. Pajot's in the bumper. Pajot leads the
He played
Islanders in
28
power play
games
goals.
this year. Chikrin's played 28 games. Here's the thing. I'm taking Chikrin over Jean-Gabriel Pajot. I think it's a better unit than we've got.
Maybe we have a better power play coach. Or maybe they have a better power play.
They
coach.
do. Our power play, our coaches are garbage.
Well,
All of them. All of our coaches are bad.
But see, it's tough to say, well, the players aren't doing it when the fact is your coach doesn't put a cohesive plan together. That's tough. That's tough. And a bad coach, I always say players win games and coaches lose them. And on a power play, that's really evident. Again,
tonight, and I said coming in, we said earlier on, like 3 for 45 entering the game means that you lost several games as a result of your power play. Tonight, they went 0 for 5. The power play lost them the game tonight. If you get 2 power play goals, you probably at least go to overtime.
Boston's
I'm saying
really
you maybe
good.
even win that game.
Boston's really good.
Sure, yeah. No, I'm sorry. If either Barzal hits the empty net on the delayed penalty,
yeah,
he should
have put that one in.
He should have. But if we score on that power play or the subsequent power play and we go up 2-0, it's a different game. We're playing.
Okay. No. You cannot say that now because that's the exact same we're thinking about for Sorokin. No, can't go there. You're gonna have to find someone.
No. I'm fine. He can say that. He just needs to go ahead and rescind that Sorokin doesn't win this game.
We went through the Sorokin.
Can't do it.
Sorokin wins his games. He just
you spent 45 minutes selling the other thing. You cannot flip flop and flip.
I'm not flipping.
That's why you are known as flippity flop Phil. That's why I've been telling TJ. I said, "What's Phil with the flip flops?" You've been flip flopping all year, bro, and you flip flop twice in the last 40 minutes. Come on, now.
Listen. If they have 2 power play goals tonight, we probably win. That's the bottom line. That's just the bottom line.
Okay, so
also, if we never would have
conceded that Sorokin can win his games, even when the goal score at the end of the game is 6-2, Sorokin.
If we had a better power play,
yeah, but the again
supposedly lost points on, we would have won. It's the power play's fault.
Okay, I'll use the Calgary game as an example. Okay, because we went down 3-1 in the Calgary game. Okay, we went down 3-1 in the first 2 periods. That third period was the craziest, most dominant Islanders third period of the entire year. We were living in their end, okay? It was a 3-1 game. We absolutely romped them that whole third period, wave after wave after wave after wave, and then we finally tied the game and got it into overtime. So I would say Sorokin got us 1 point in that game maybe, but he did not steal 2 points in that game. What stole us the second point is the fact that that idiot Mikey Anderson decided to stupidly cross-check Pellick into his own net, giving us a power play to win that game.
If you change a game, right? If let's say he was supposed to give up 5, or let's say hypothetically 6.
He shouldn't have given up 5 in that game. There wasn't enough that went on the net in the first 2 periods where you'd say like, oh yeah, he should have given up 5 in that game.
That's why they've got that cool statistic of saves above expected saves.
Which again, and a lot of that is boosted in part by his losses. He saves a lot of goals above expected in his losses. He just does.
It's because we are playing so poorly that he's got to bail us out.
Which means that we, as a team, have cost Sorokin a lot of points.
So we should just tell Sorokin to come out there and play like shit every night. Maybe we're going to get more wins.
All I'm going to say, if Varlamov was in those games, we get blown out in those games.
I agree.
Absolutely blown out.
In those close games, we get obliterated.
I don't think the comparison between these two, it's not.
Varlamov is 8-5-1 this year.
I don't care what his record is.
What's his stats?
He's not even close to the goalie Sorokin is.
He has not played as well, but in terms of how he's played this year, he could have easily won. Of the 15 games Sorokin won, Varlamov probably wins 11 or 12.
If you had the same workload?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
think about some of the games that Varlamov has played where it's been like absolutely out of his mind. Right? The Boston game where we went down 2-0 early on. He kept us in that. He had that point blank save on Pasternak cutting across with 5 minutes left that kept that a 3-3 game and got us to overtime. He stole a point there. Against Ottawa, he stole 2 points. We had no business.
He let a week in against Boston too. He let a week in against Boston that first game.
Okay, this year.
Which goal? The first goal with a deflection? Or the one that Bailey put in the net?
The one, he's got to save that, right?
The one that Bailey redirected a pass into the net.
This year, Varlamov has a 908 save percentage. How many games do you think you're winning with a 908 save percentage? It's not even top 20 in the NHL.
Okay, he beat San Jose. Okay,
Phil,
He lost.
He's got a computer in his hands and he's typing. Here's the thing: you're both the freaking same. Both the absolutely the freaking same. You sit there and just stop. All I know is I've watched these games. It's so obvious that Sorokin is the number one guy.
I'm not saying he's not.
He has
This has nothing to do with number one guy, number two guy. This just has to do with
we've won. That I'm like, without him, we lose. And
do we beat Ottawa without Varlamov?
Game situation, just like you agreed on the power play. Game situation, timing of making saves. Grant Fuhr, Hall of Fame goalie, right? He didn't have the best numbers, but you know what? In the big moments, he came up with big saves. Sorokin is that guy, Phil. Sorokin's that guy. I hate to disagree with you on that because I've been agreeing with you most of the night, which has been appalling to me. Now you're making me agree with TJ. So this has just been a total failure for me.
No, we agree on like 90%. We're good.
I know we do.
Oh, man. I was about to say, we're about here 3 hours and 30 minutes in. It tells us always one thing. We need
to get Phil on more often because.
Yes. Well, I feel like this year has been a lot of we needed to see where things went. And I think for the end of this year, Grumpy, hey, I want to have Phil back on again. I want to have more guests on the remainder of the year. I mean, hell, we'll be out of the playoff picture in no time at all, Grumpy. And, we're going to have to talk about upcoming plans, right? We're going to have to really get creative as to what's going on. Oh, my
God. This quote by Lambert is terrible. I'm sorry to cut in.
No.
If you look back at all 5 games, I feel we've played better than what the results are.
Oh God.
Shut the hell up. Stupid.
Sounds like you.
Who?
No, he doesn't sound like me. This sounds like Doug Waite.
So what are we?
Oh, it's the bounces. It's bounces. Listen, I would say they got the short end of the stick in the Dallas game. We should have won that game in regulation. Ottinger was a beast. We outplayed them. We did not deserve to win the Minnesota game. After the first period, we completely fell apart. And Sorokin kept us in it, even though we lost. But
that's a stolen point right there.
We didn't get any points. We lost in regulation.
It should have been worth 2.
So you don't get a stolen point when you don't get any points.
Should have been 2.
And then
the best way I can compare this, it's like saying we're going to ignore the wins above replacement or like the WAR that they have in baseball, the statistic they keep for wins above replacement. We're going to ignore that.
Do they have that? Does they have that?
On an NHL, I don't think.
Bad.
But they've got wins above replacement.
Silly little theory.
They've got wins above replacement for baseball, but it's like the Grom. He'll sometimes, let's say he goes out there and every game he wins, is a game that, hey, he gives up 3 or 4 runs, but every game he loses, he either has a no decision. He gives up 1 run, or maybe he loses because they go ahead and give a run and then on error. It's like saying we're not going to include the wins above replacement. We're just going to look at the wins and see, well, hey, in the losses, I know technically, right, he had 0 earned runs against, but he had an error that happened, so he's credited with a loss, or vice versa. He didn't win any games that way, but the wins above replacement are the stat that you can keep.
I'm not going to go through it again because you're missing my point.
I'm not missing the point.
You're totally
okay. All right. I don't care about either one of your points. I honestly do not. Not at this point. I do not care.
I know. But yes, we're wrapping things up. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Well, first off, I didn't even have a chance to talk. All of Phil's links are in the bio below. So if you want to see all of number one, the hot takes, if you want to see what Phil is thinking, how we can construct a team, how we can build towards the future, what's going on. He tweets on a consistent basis. So you're gonna have, we don't tweet at all. So you gotta go watch Phil, number one, because he tweets enough so you can get updates on NHL. You can get updates not only on the Islanders, but also everything NHL wise. He also does Top Shelf Hockey Cast there with BD Gallup, with David Duckman, I believe, as well as PhilzFacts. They have a podcast together. So you can also catch Phil on that podcast in between, right? His appearances on the Islanders Never Say Die show. So you'll have it all in the link in the description below with all those details. But Phil, what do you want to say before we start wrapping things up?
I want to say, keep your head up, Islanders fans. Grumpy and Phil are here to save the team. Once that GM vacancy is officially announced, we are going to have dual general managers. We're going to get Newhook. We're going to get some fresh blood in here, and we are going to save the season. But in all seriousness, this was fun. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's always a pleasure when we do this.
Absolutely, it is. But Grumpy, what do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, even those who don't. Sorry we did not get to the comments, because I guarantee you they were on fire at the end. I'm going to guarantee it. I'm going to have to actually keep this up and scroll through, because I know when Phil starts getting ridiculous, well, whatever. It's the end. Love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't. From TJ the Grumpy Old Man, and PhilzFacts.
There it is. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and listening. We'll be live here this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have more guests coming up because I forget how much fun it is having all of our friends on the show and talking Islanders hockey. We'll have Phil on again before the end of the year. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, listening. Sorry we couldn't get to all the comments, but I know you understand. I know we provided great. We got to maybe about 1%. Yeah, I was about to say 1 or 2%, but I know you guys understand here. We're able to provide hopefully a good listening experience for all of you guys. We'll be looking through the comments later, hopefully responding to a few of them. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Grumpy and Phil, for coming on the show as always.
My pleasure.